We are live. WWE Crown Jewel 2023 is in the books, ladies and gentlemen. Kairi Sane is back in WWE alongside Io Sky. What does that mean for Damage Control? Have we got a new faction on the way? Could more faces be going or returning, should we say, to WWE with a few surprises expected in the near future? John Cena was pretty much dominated by Solo Sikoa. What is next for John Cena? Michael Cole suggested the word of retirement. Let's see if that's going to be happening. We'll discuss that later today as well. And of course, Logan Paul is United States champion, of course, defeating Rey Mysterio. Roman Reigns retains LOL, expected. And of course, LA Knight, well, now he's had the championship match. He's back down the pecking order. What will be next for him? All that and much, much more coming up on today's stream for the Crown Jewel review. Of course, I'm Steve, the host with the most, and I'm not on my own. I'm joined by the one and only, say it with me, NX Steve in the house. NX Steve, how are you feeling?
I've been better, mate. Honestly, I've been better. I have been looking forward to reviewing this show since about midnight last night, and that's not for a good reason.
I'm looking forward to it. Of course, I wasn't able to watch this show when it happened, which is pretty much why I watched it today and why the stream's today rather than yesterday. But yeah, all in all, go on.
I didn't watch it live either. I watched it when I got in from work, and my God, I'm glad I didn't take a day off work to watch this.
Oh, interesting. Well, I tell you may have an idea of where NX Steve's loyalties lie on good or bad when it comes to WWE Crown Jewel. I'll be reserving my full judgment as we go into the review. I want to entice you people to stick around and make sure if you do enjoy this content that you hit the like button, share with a friend. If you're new to SCW, make sure to subscribe. Plenty of new people checking out the channel for the predictions video. Thanks to everyone who did. And of course, it's great to see some new faces, hopefully, in and amongst the channel. But first comment coming in from Robbie Collins is, yeah, I'm so happy Kairi is back. Her and Io are two of my favorite women's wrestlers right now, and so happy for Logan Paul. So Robbie Collins seems like a happy camper when it comes to WWE Crown Jewel. I've got to say, those are two of the big highlights of the show for me as well. And obviously, the John Cena stuff as well will be a big topic of debate as we go through. But all in all, we start off with a kickoff show. We're just going to dive straight into it. Let's not go with overall thoughts. Let's go match by match. And Steve looks like he might object.
I've completely forgot about the kickoff match, and I haven't watched it yet. So you'll have to fill me in because I was so angry about this show that I really forgot to watch this. I remembered this morning. I was like, I need to watch it, and I've completely forgotten. I will watch it, but you'll have to guide me through this one, Steve.
Well, I'm assuming you're probably aware of the result.
No. It doesn't bother me. You can spoil it. It's not. I'm 38 years old, mate. Spoilers are not a thing for me anymore.
There we go then. Right, well, we won't waste any time. Sami Zayn defeats JD McDonagh in the rubber match on the kickoff. So just a little bit of detail from this one. I'll take it solo then. Pretty much we see like a monkey flip, a terminal drop, something like that from JD McDonagh. And he kind of lands awkwardly. Seems to be going through the ropes. He has like a really awful looking abdominal area for the rest of the match. It comes really red. Of course, he's selling like a madman through this match as well. But of course, Sami Zayn does pick up the victory with a haluva kick followed by a blue thunder bomb for the 1, 2, 3. The match goes around 9 minutes long. I would say this is a standard kickoff match, but these two do go hell for leather as well. And I've got to say, it does feel kind of normal to see Sami Zayn now on these shows after two of them. And Sami Zayn really embracing, obviously, being there once again. Obviously, the fans really on side with him as well. So all in all, ticks a lot of boxes and wasn't the last time we'd see Sami Zayn on the evening.
From what I heard, this was the best match on the night. I don't know if you can clarify that or not, but
I have not got it as my match of the night. I will go through and say which my match of the night is when we get to it. But all in all, I think this match
result.
Yeah, an expected result. A match that I think delivered what it needed to and what was expected to. I think that's what we would say from it. I think that these two can't have a bad match because we know JD McDonagh, a great seller. Sami Zayn, obviously very good at what he does as well. And for a kickoff match, it got a reasonable amount of time, and I think it got more time than what it would have done had it been on the main show. With a few comments come flying in. We've got Eric Douglas saying, why did they ruin all of LA Knight's momentum? I mean, one spear. We'll be going on to that a little bit later. later, Eric, when we get to the main event. But Robbie doesn't want to waste any time with a reply to that. He says, I don't think the momentum has been stopped. Remember, he said, this is just the start. Also, remember, earlier in the match, LA took a spear and kicked out, which is a fantastic point from Robbie. Actually, it wasn't one spear, just one spear at the end. Ghost Spider in-house as well. Ghost Spider, thank you for checking out the stream. Hope you're doing well, as with Eric and with Robbie and everyone that is watching that hasn't commented so far. I can see the number in the top there. So if you're, drop a hello. Let us know you're here. Robbie says as well, decent start. Enjoyed it for a kickoff match. I do think it's a decent match worth going to check out. And Steve, get out your way. Definitely make sure to watch it.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, we'll go on to the main show then, and we're going to talk about Seth freaking Rollins defeating Drew McIntyre to retain the World Heavyweight Championship. What seems to be the regular now with a Seth Rollins match at this point. The back's the weakness, the back is the target, but of course Seth will go hell on leather still to do moves that will kind of hurt his back in the process of an attack. Does that harm a Seth Rollins match? Should he be actually unable to do some of the moves he does, or is it the fact that, as commentary said, once the adrenaline kicks in and he's warmed up in the match, he can sort of get through it as long as not too much damage is done to that back?
I'm pretty sure someone did the same sort of thing years ago where every single time they had a match, they were selling the same injury over and over again, and it just got to a point where it was a really boring dynamic. But I suppose the commentary kind of made sense with the fact that, yes, in real life, adrenaline does kick in and you kind of do rise above stuff like that. But it's just getting boring, and no one's playing. Like, Shinsuke was the only one to play off of it, and it's like no one else has thought, oh, maybe I should play off that now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the thing is, obviously, it did feel like it was kind of the target, though, during the match from Joe. Obviously, the belly-to-belly overhead on the floor was quite a brutal-looking spot for Drew to kind of get that advantage in the match. There was a moment that Barrett suggested that Drew had kind of sympathy and weakness and should have gone in for the kill and didn't. Obviously, as the match gets towards its finish, I must admit, I really bought into one near fall. Seth Rollins actually did a Phoenix Splash, which missed, and it was followed up with a Claymore. And I thought that when Drew hit that, I was like, oh, hello, that we could have a new champion here. And he really did the 2 count very, very well. However, of course, Rollins does get back into it, of course. I think he gets out of the way of a Claymore, if I'm not mistaken. Hits a pedigree, followed by a curb stomp to pick up the 1, 2, 3. What were your overall thoughts with this match?
This was sloppy and boring until, like you said, the near falls right at the end where it actually got slightly exciting. The fact that we were saved the grace of watching Drew McIntyre do a Cristiano Ronaldo Sui celebration because whoever's doing the camera or cinematography panned away from it and we missed it. And I thought to myself, my God, that is one thing I probably didn't want to see. But this was really sloppy. It was really bad. It was just not good, man. We just had that fantastic opening package where you've got Imagine Dragons playing Believer or whatever it takes. One or two songs. One of the great songs. And I thought, yeah, I'm pumped for this now. And then we start off with this, and it was like super kicks were going to miss. Belly to back suplexes were really sloppy and looked really clumsy and clunky. And it was like, what is this? And it was like, and then obviously because of the way they'd laid out the matches for the night, I was like, okay, kind of defeats the object of what we were saying in the prediction show about how they would book it with the possible cash in and stuff like that. But yeah, I say apart from the ending, I just thought it was sloppy and I just thought it was boring.
That's fair. I mean, for me, I'll be honest with you, I got more into it for the final third, if you will. I do feel that the first 2 thirds I felt, I don't want to say house show vibes, because that would be a little bit of a disservice, but I would say that it was not to the full metal that I'm used to seeing.
Event.
Yeah, I would agree. TV, I would have said that it felt more like Raw main event rather than, say, Premium Live Event opener, which obviously is one of the high spots of the show usually, the real sort of get you going. But like I said, the final third of it, I'm a bit kinder on this match than yourself. I thought it was okay, but only okay. But what I would say, though, is when you got on to mention after the match, obviously, we talked about potentially on the prediction show about perhaps maybe a Drew McIntyre heel turn, potentially a Claymore. We talked about potentially a Damian Priest cash in. Obviously, Damian went to go and do the cash in. and that was not materialized because he was attacked from behind by someone in a hooded mask who revealed himself immediately to be Sami Zayn. I spoke to Jonesy about this actually, and he did say that it was a bit of a missed opportunity to reveal it straight away. And I would say, I want to get your take on it, NXT, but I kind of felt the same when I initially watched it. But then I thought to myself within a few seconds, well, of course it's Sami Zayn. It's either Sami Zayn or it's Jey Uso or it's Kevin. Or it's someone that's going to go into War Games against the Judgment League. Because that feels like it's the natural direction.
It's boring, is what it is. It's boring. It's lazy booking. Like, if you'd just left it as a mystery, it would have made it at least a little bit more exciting. But the fact that it's Sami Zayn, this is where I turned around and went, all this show is they're planning on doing is preparing for Survivor Series and planning for War Games. Because you could obviously tell that that's going to be the dynamic. The only thing that gives me the slight hope is, like, just to skip ahead a bit, but the backstage segment with Rhea and Drew, where Rhea just shrugs her shoulders and just shakes her head and Drew just sits there angry. It's like, we may get a Dakota Kai turn at War Games here. And, like, if Drew's going to be one of the four to go up against Judgment Day, I could really see him turning heel at this point. And that's the one thing I probably got excited for out of this match. But otherwise, it was just, it's like, I've got it's just the same thing. It's just always the same people mixing with Judgment Day. And like you said, if it had been left as a bit of a mystery, it would have been a bit more exciting to go into Raw tomorrow night and be like, oh, I wonder who it actually was.
Do you think you'd have been let down, though, had you been one of the obvious suspects revealed on the Raw? Did it sort of make you feel like it's better to know now than to sort of maybe be disappointed later?
I'd rather be disappointed later because at least it adds intrigue and it raises the level of the show. Like, we'd all sit there today and we'd all watch videos from, like, us or Cultaholic or Wrestle Talk or whoever, and it would probably come out who it was or who it's going to be. But the point is that at that moment in the show, it would have been a really interesting a moment to talk about. But for the fact that it's Sami, it's like, I'm just bored. It's just lazy booking. It's something they do every time. And it almost gave me the feeling that the same thing is going to happen to Priest that happened to Austin Theory, is that he's not going to be successful with this cash-in. That's actually genuinely how it made me feel, because the amount of times he's failed on cashing in at the minute is really giving me Austin Theory vibes.
I can see that actually, because like you said, every opportunity seems to want to cash in, something goes wrong, and obviously not been knocked out by Tyson Fury yet, but like you said, have it stolen by Sami Zayn is certainly something that you don't want to see. But obviously, I think Sami and Priest, obviously with the direction going forward up into the Builder Survivor Series, perhaps a main event on Raw or something to try and get the briefcase pack. Hey, maybe Sami tries to win the briefcase. Who knows? Maybe there could be something like that as a stipulation. It would be quite interesting. Maybe there's stakes that's added to War Games.
That is the one thing I did actually think about when Sami was in the crowd with the briefcase is, maybe this is how Sami gets his shot and wins the WWE Championship, is maybe he ends up going against Priest for that briefcase, which I'd actually kind of be okay for, because I think it'd be like a massive way to rebuild Sami Zayn and put him back in the main event scene. But only time will tell, unfortunately.
We'll have to wait and see. I have to make reference as well. I was very privileged to be on the Mark Wrestling podcast for their prediction stream for the Crown Jewel predictions, which is on their channel. It's in the playlist if you want to go back and check it out for anything that was discussed on there. Especially something that I did mention on my own podcast, which I brought up on there, was I said, what about if this match was first and Priest was to cash in? What would happen? Because if Priest became World Heavyweight Champion and he was to take on Cody Rhodes later in the night, maybe AGM would force Priest to have to defend said championship later in the evening against Cody Rhodes. Who knows what would have happened? Would Priest have been walking away still as champion, looking dominant on the night? Or would we have seen what we got later tonight, Cody winning the championship because he beat Damian Priest? So it would have had a lot of different dynamics. I feel with what we could have got from this, and this is going to be my closing on this, is that Seth Rollins could have been the lead to a new champion with Drew McIntyre winning, could have got a heel turn from Drew McIntyre, could have had a cash in from Priest, Judgment Day, or someone could have cost Priest after the cash-in had happened. That would have been probably more interesting as well. Or we could have seen Priest do it and actually successfully do it and defend the title later in the evening. Seth just won, and I feel that's just seems the least interesting option at this point, and I think that's a bit of a shame. But other than that, like you say, it's interesting what's going to happen with Drew McIntyre after this.
The thing is that they're building the War Games match wrong, as they're building the faces on top. And it's almost like the heels are the ones having to chase the faces. And it kind of doesn't make sense. I mean, unless we're going to get the Drew turn. But it's like you've just had JD lose to Sami. You've had Priest lose to Cody. and it's like Seth's obviously lost to Drew, but it was like all you're doing is like the heels are supposed to be the ones normally going in on top on these pay-per-views for the faces to come over. So the only thing I can think like at this minute is that we are getting a Drew heel turn at Survivor Series.
That would be interesting. At the moment as well, obviously, if Judgment Day do run the show, then they're the ones that are probably going to need to win when it comes to War Games, kind of like the Bloodline did last year. But we'll wait and see how it's going to play out. Obviously, still early days to see, but I think it's safe to say Judgment Day, if we're going to get 5-on-5, like you said, there's probably one person missing right now. Maybe Drew fills the spot beforehand, and we could have with Finn Balor, Damian Priest, obviously JD McDonagh and Dominic Mysterio, Dirty Dom after all, who was there in attendance, of course. They were actually at ringside, wasn't they, when it came to Damian Priest's match, but that didn't work out for them. But we'll talk about that later on. But obviously, look at the face side. You've got Sami, you've got Cody, you've got Jey Uso, potentially. I don't know if they'll bring KO back over. Seth Rollins could be the last one that could fill the lineup here. So it's going to be interesting. Could be a fun-looking War Games match, how it's lining up so far.
Well, the problem is they've only got 2 weeks to do it, so that's the biggest shocker as well. Is that everything now is going to feel really rushed and forced. And on the plus side, we may get Gunther on the Survivor Series card because I found out today that apparently the reason why he hasn't been able to do a lot of these shows is he's having trouble with his visa. So there may be a plus that Gunther finally ends up on a pay-per-view.
It would be good to see Gunther back on a pay-per-view. Obviously, hopefully Survivor Series will be the place. I have seen those reports. And it's interesting to see what will happen. But let's see what our chat has got to say. Martin Correa in the house. Hope you're doing well, Martin. It's been a while. It says, what's up, Steve? What do you think of Drew's character? He could be a good tweener, still has people behind him. It feels like to me that, he's doing the tweener role pretty well, but it does feel like that heel turn is inevitable at this point. It's a matter of when, not if.
This is why I'm interested to see who's going to be. Like, if they're planning on doing a 4-on-4, I'm really interested to see who the 4 are going to be to take on Judgment Day. Because obviously, with KO now being on SmackDown, the lineup impression I get is that it's going to be Drew, Seth, Cody. It's going to be Cody, Sami, Jay, and Drew.
Mm.
I think that's what it's got to be, and I think that's where we get the Drew turn, and I think Judgment Day just walk out on top at Survivor Series.
Interesting.
Unless they do 5-on-5, add Seth, and then that's where we get the cash in. Drew turns on them, costs the faces the match, and then Priest cashes in and becomes world champion at Survivor Series.
That'll be a big moment as well, especially after War Games as well. That is obviously, it's War after all, isn't it? It's usually one of the brutal matches in the calendar year. Quickly though, just a quick question, and we go to the rest of the comments. If Seth Rollins is not going to be a part of War Games, obviously it looks like the program with Drew could technically be finished. It may not be, but who would you see next going for that championship if there was to be a fresh, clean slate going forward? And chat, let us know who you would want to see.
Wow, because I really cannot think of anyone at the minute. I mean, honestly, I can't think of anyone at the minute. No one is sticking out to, like, everyone I think that should have a shot. Maybe because even Bobby's on SmackDown now, so I couldn't even tell you. Like, this is the thing. This is why I don't think we're going to get a SmackDown, a World Championship title match at Survivor Series. I think it's too short notice.
I feel as well, like, unless they do like a number one contenders, like, I don't know, Beat the Clock Challenge, Battle Royal, something like this. It's hard to determine who that's going to be, because that's the reason I asked the question. I even thought to myself, who's it going to be?
Match. It's normally a gauntlet match, and it takes up like the first hour of Raw.
There you go. That could be a way to do it as well. Monday Night Raw, we've got the first hour booked. Ghost Spider reckons that Drew McIntyre should have won. Robbie says that Seth's reign is boring now, to be honest. I'm not a fan. I think it's time for a change, whether that was Drew or a Damian cash in. So there we go. It's time for a change, as Owen Hart once said. Nubico, hello. I hope you're doing well, Noob. Thanks for checking this out. Hope you're keeping well. Eric says, so is Sami Mr. Money in the Bank now? Technically, no. He's just, he's a thief, really, if we're being honest, but a good thief.
He's a scumbag.
Yeah, he's our scumbag. Robbie says, also, why did Drew come out last? I swear the champs always come out last. Yeah, I guess probably more for the fact of the music, and sometimes they say it's like champion's advantage. Champion can choose if he comes out first or second, and obviously when people are singing the song and stuff, maybe it's like you've got to come out afterwards and face that. Don't really know. It's speculation station from me.
Yeah, it's just weird. It's just booking, the way they book the show, unfortunately.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's a bit like that. Ghost Spider says fantasy booking Drew McIntyre turns heel and joins to be the new leader of the Judgment Day, and then Damian Priest gets kicked out of the Judgment Day. Is that something you'd be in favor of?
I don't think that would happen. I think that if Priest is going to win that world championship, you can't have Drew as the leader, but Priest as the world champion. I think that we'll just get a heel Drew, and I think the outcome will be that we get possibly a Seth Drew, like another Seth Drew match after Survivor Series, and that'll be it till like Rumble or something. Because I don't think Drew will get that title now, probably till Seth wins it back. If and when Seth loses it and then goes on to win it back.
Absolutely. BWE is reporting now. Take it with a pinch of salt. It's BWE. The source isn't always great, but it can be good when it's like really like last minute stuff. But when it comes to it, they're suggesting that Drew McIntyre is going to re-sign with WWE. So if that's the case, I would expect Drew would remain up in the upper echelons of the championship scene. We'll have to wait and see if that will or won't happen. Robbie does say, I think they'll have a tournament for the number one contendership with both brands just to make someone take on Seth. And of course, well, brand warfare, you would like to see really the brands stick to each other. But of course, we have seen that people do swap shows when need be. And it could create stuff with Aldis and Adam Pearce as well. So I wouldn't necessarily rule that out. Eric Douglas says, Steve, watch your computer screen. It looks cool. I'm guessing he's not talking to me.
Oh no, that's my TV. It's got my Xbox running on it. Well, my Xbox One. That's how old the thing is. It's just my old background I used to have when I used to have the camera face on. So it's just on my TV. It's just to make it look pretty in the background.
It does look very good indeed. Of course, with the Funko Pops also behind. Ghost Spider says, imagine Miz, Gunther, Nakamura, Ricochet, Bronson Reed, Fatal Five-Way for the Intercontinental Championship. Would be a hell of a fun time, Ghost Spider. Would be a hell of a fun time. And the problem with Drew is can't fall down the card. He's a really big name for WWE. Needs to be up there. He does need to be up there, but obviously he also needs to be sticking in the company as well. If he is leaving the company, if he doesn't re-sign, WWE will slowly phase him out and put him down further down the card. It just is a natural thing to do. They'll want to push the stars that will be sticking around. But we'll move on in the meantime, and we'll go on to the women's fatal five-way match. Rhea Ripley retaining the Women's World Championship against Nia Jax, Raquel Rodriguez, Shayna Baszler, and Zoey Starks. Gotta say, obviously, Nia doing a lot of the power moves there until someone would actually knock her out of the ring. Zoey Stark, for me, I think was an MVP of this match. I'm going to say that early doors. I think she did some great looking spots in this match. I love the way that her finisher was actually sold by Rhea Ripley as well. Wow, that was done really, really well. The dive to the outside from Starks as well, which also took out a camera person as well, which is quite a fun little moment. But obviously, let's get towards the finish of the match there. Obviously, we did have Raquel Rodriguez pinning Shayna Baszler, Rhea doing her finisher actually off the second rope, and Zoey Starks landing on top to break up the pinfall, and then Rhea Ripley pretty much feeding the scraps and pinning Shayna Baszler to retain. What were your thoughts of this match? And also, maybe before that, what were your thoughts of Rhea Ripley's entrance?
Dude, even before that, there's one key factor you've missed out. Why is Byron Saxton doing the worst Howard Finkel impression when trying to do ring announcing? I was listening to him. I only clocked it when these women come out for this match, and I was like, is Howard Finkel been raised from the dead and he's still in a zombified state? No, it's just Byron Saxton doing the worst possible ring announcing in my life. And I was like, I was genuine. That's why I texted you and was like, have you seen anything yet? Because I really wanted to talk about Byron Saxton, and he was like,
that was it.
Honestly, god awful. Rhea's entrance, a couple of guys come and stood on the edge of the ramp. It's not special, is it? It's just it's like John Cena did. John Cena did that with a load of guys that dressed up like him. It was like, yeah, it's okay. As for the match itself, guess what, Steve? It was boring. Apart from Zoey Stark having a really good show, which is what I said in the predictions. I think that was the plus to come out from this, is that Zoey needed to have a really good display to show that she could hang with these these obviously established names, and Zoey achieved that. Rhea won. Yay, boring. Second rope, Riptide, boring. It's genuinely just, I was like, it's so expected. And Shayna, my God, in the I really don't want to say karate attire, but I know I'm gonna, because it's not karate, it's something else. But I was like, that was your choice of attire. I was like, you look weird, man. You look like you had these big bulky legs, but then this really skinny top half. It just looked weird. But dude, I just thought it was boring. Like, fair. Yeah, I just thought like the first match had sort of set the tone, and I was like, oh, now we've got a women's match, and it's kind of like, yeah, it's boring.
I thought it was okay for what it was. I would agree it was predictable, and I think that was why I asked the question on the prediction show: would this be more interesting if there was a title change here? And we said at the time that perhaps the dominance of Rhea would be something that should shine through in a way, but maybe now we go back at it, like you say, maybe the title change should have happened. We kept things flowing and interesting.
Yeah, it would have been, and it was like I was even sitting there like, please just show Jade Cargill sitting ringside or something. Do you know what I mean? Just to make it that a little bit more interesting after Rhea had won, but
nothing at this particular moment. But we can talk about Jade. I got a chance to see Tom Collier's stream the other day. Rumors suggest that with a particular return to WWE, obviously Kairi Sane, she's now going to be on the SmackDown roster. That could change a few things for Jade Cargill moving forward, that potentially the Raw brand could be where she may land. And that would be something that you wanted.
She needs to be on the Raw brand. Raw brand is dying for top like female stars at the minute.
Well, you could get your wish. But all in all, I'll just say quickly, my thoughts of the match. I thought it was fine. I didn't think it was, spectacular 5 stars or anything like that. I wouldn't go as to the level of boring, but I thought it was watchable at best. Again, I feel that it's kind of TV quality, but I thought Zoey Stark definitely raised above and beyond. I thought that she was definitely the MVP of this match.
I mean, even Shayna's spot where she had Rhea and Raquel and Nia all in submission holds, I was like, this is boring. We've seen this before. And it was like it wasn't nothing new. It was just it's the same stuff we've seen before. Unfortunately, it was nothing to. Do you know what I mean? If for instance, Shayna hadn't ever done that before, I'd have been like, oh, cool. But it's like we've seen Shayna do that before. It's nothing new. It's nothing new to excite me. But yeah, we didn't even do match ratings, by the way.
No, I was going to save them to the end, but
I'll go for it. Yeah, go on, carry on then. Yeah,
we can do it because in case I forget, that's probably the safest way to go. So we'll start with this one. What would be your star rating then out of 5? 2.
I think it was a decent. It was just an okay match. That was really it. But it was just boring.
2.5 for me. I think 2.5 is for me. I as I said, I think it's watchable as a match. Then, what would be your star rating then for Seth and Drew?
2.5. I think, like you said, towards the final third, it gets like really good with the near falls. But other than that, I've already said boring, predictable, sloppy.
I'm going to go for 2.75. And again, I'm slightly more in the favorable of the two of us when it comes to this. But when we go then to the comments, Robbie says this match was surprisingly enjoyable. The thing that ruined it was knowing who was going to win before it began. Everyone got their moment though. And to be fair, I'm going to agree with Robbie's comment now. I do think that is definitely on the point there. Robbie does go on to say as well, to be honest, I love women's wrestling more than the men's now, but this crowd was really poor, especially during the women's matches for some reason, like they were awake for all the men's matches after. Do you know what? This is a brilliant point that's been raised from Robbie. Obviously, we know where this show has taken place, and we know what, perhaps maybe the opinions, but I mean, like, do you think that dare I say these shows didn't deserve these matches? Because to be fair, these matches I thought were definitely better than what the crowd were giving as a reaction for it. You'd think this stunk out the joint, and I don't think it did that.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I am probably being harsh, but it was like, but I think, do you know what I mean? It was like when you have Kairi Sane return and there's no pop, and you're like, why do this here? Why? Because you know that crowd really don't care. And it was like, it was such a wasting moment. Like, you could have really, like, done this on SmackDown or something. Do you know what I mean? But honestly, I just felt like it was just a big disappointment.
Yeah, unfortunately, it is with this case. Robbie, brilliant points you've made there all round. Nubico says that entrance for Rhea Ripley is awesome because I guess the Saudis now has a thing for goths now. Potentially. We'll go leave that on potentially, but loving that comment there. And Roger in the house as well. Roger, hope you're doing well. I've never been a fan of Jade Cargill ever since she beat Taya Valkyrie in AEW. Well, not to everybody's taste. We'll move on in the meantime. And one of the big talking points from this show, Solo Sikoa not defeats John Cena, dominates John Cena. Now, I can see that Steve is not happy. I don't know why it's made me laugh, Steve, but it has. I'll quickly just go through a little bit of the detail. It felt like it was going to be every John Cena match you've ever watched, really, to a degree. Solo Sikoa obviously dominating a lot early on. John Cena did get back. It felt like we were going to get the 5 moves of doom. But of course, then we did get a Samoan spike. And from that point, we then got a second Samoan spike, then a third Samoan spike. And I'm not going to lie to you, when it got to the third one, I was beyond the point of going, well, this move has been so protected. And John kept getting up, which a bit of me didn't like, I will say that I didn't like John kept getting up after the spikes. However, the more spikes that were done, John Cena didn't come back. And to be fair, 11 of them later, I think it's safe to say that John Cena has been definitely taken out of WWE for the foreseeable future. NXT Steve, I can see head in hands here. I want to hear your opinion more than mine. So the floor's yours.
It was boring. Dude, honestly, I'm not Solo's biggest fan, and this just felt like I was watching Umaga John Cena. Honestly, I was watching it and I was like, I feel like this is like 2010 again, or 2006, 2010, whenever. And I was just like, I just feel like I'm watching Umaga versus John Cena. This feels like a match I've seen hundreds of times before, even though I've never seen this match before. And I was just like, bored.
Fair
John
enough.
Cena taking, like you said, John Cena taking 11 spikes, and it's kind of like, all right, I know people like Michael Cole blows him up on the microphone and says that he's the GOAT and all that, but 11, it's a bit overkill, man. It's kind of like like the guy hasn't won since 2015. Like I know at some point he was just trying to prove a point and hurt John Cena, but 11 is really overkill.
I mean, for me, the way I looked at it was, and I think they were going for the Umaga John Cena flavor, by the way. So I think that's what they were after. However, I got that finish, and obviously, let's forget Paul Heyman was ringside. I got reminiscence of Brock Lesnar, John Cena from SummerSlam 2014, 16 German suplexes, Suplex City, B word, and we can do a watch along for it one day. We can see if you want, but it was such a dominant, shocking performance on that night, and I think they tried to recreate that here. And I think for someone that I expected Cena to win, that was, I was one of those that I was confident Cena was going to win. I thought storyline wise, it made much more sense for Solo to win, for Cena to lose. I thought that if Cena does a match afterwards, it's kind of like, can I still do it? I think that storyline potentially could be on the table. However, we do need to talk about Michael Cole's commentary suggesting that John Cena's now been retired by Solo Sikoa. I found that was quite an interesting note. Solo, however, I said that he lost his mojo. Obviously, judging on you here, I think he hasn't got a lot of it back, but I think for many, he will get it back after this. I think a lot of people will start looking at Son thinking he's got that big win, and perhaps maybe he could be someone that could be a future contender to go for Roman Reigns when the time is right.
But what's he going to do between now and then? He's got no storylines. Like, you've killed off John Cena, which, like we said in the predictions, that if the rumors were that Roman was going to be around for Survivor Series, Cena was going to win this, and we were going to get Cena Roman at Survivor Series. Roman's now not going to be around till January at the earliest. What's Solo going to do? He's just going to turn up on SmackDown every week. The booking was right. He should have won. But what is he going to do now? Because the only person that they're currently feuding with is Kevin Owens. And yet, what, we're going to get Kevin Owens versus Solo Sikoa again? Really?
I may have an answer for you that may be different. A returning AJ Styles.
But it doesn't make sense. AJ wants Roman. It's like, do you know what I mean? It's like what's the phrase with the organ grinder and the monkey? Do you know what I mean? It just why are we getting a subpar match when what we want is AJ Roman? I don't get it.
Well, AJ was taken out by Solo and Jimmy before Fastlane, so that's the two that he would need to go through first to get to Roman. Now, granted, that's probably going to be the OC versus the Bloodline, and I think that's where it could go next to get to AJ versus Roman, say Royal Rumble time. That would be my prediction now if I had to go for it. If we're going to get Solo versus Roman, I would go as far as Elimination Chamber. I'd say the breakdown could happen through the Bloodline not getting the job done against the OC, and I think that could lead to, say, Solo dominating the Rumble, not winning the Rumble, for example, to stop one Cody Rhodes or a Gunther or whoever to face Roman at Mania as well. Those things could be the ingredients there, but I think Solo from now probably needs to go on a more dominant streak. I would agree. If AJ was to return and take on the Bloodline, Jimmy needs to be the one to take the fall. That would have to be after this rate. But for John Cena, that question has to come there. Michael Cole suggesting about retirement. It has been mentioned in promos. If John Cena is going back to acting, this is, I suppose, in a way, is a way to write him off. But I don't see John Cena retiring unless it's a WrestleMania. It just isn't happening.
100%. You only retire if it's a WrestleMania. With the people like Undertaker, John Cena, whoever, The Rock, Stone Cold, it's only ever going to be a WrestleMania.
I have to agree with you. And I've got to say that could lead to an interesting storyline if and when John does come back, because does John go for solo one more time? Does John say, look, I went for that and I lost it. I'm not at the level of the bloodline, but I'm going to do one more match at WrestleMania. And if I lose, I'm gone. And maybe people fight for the honor to face John Cena. I don't know. Maybe there could be something they could do. How would you book John Cena's retirement at this point? Is there a particular opponent that should take him out?
I think the necessity of pure respect is it should be Roman Reigns. And if they're not going to do Cody Roman, it should be at WrestleMania, because it should be. It's kind of like, look, John Cena's been the top of the mountain for the last 15 plus years. Roman Reigns is the current top of the mountain. It's kind of like, I don't really want like Kurt Angle's losing to Baron Corbin at Mania style. Do you know what I mean? I think John Cena's a little bit more respect than a Baron Corbin loss. But hey, Rumble's around the corner, so you never know. John will probably be in it.
Yeah, I would expect that's what I'm thinking will happen. I don't think John Cena will be retiring anytime soon. But to go off his Instagram account, obviously John has posted a picture of David Beckham. Obviously, John Cena likes to do cryptic Instagram posts. Now, David Beckham, for those unaware, in this is wearing I believe his Paris Saint-Germain jersey, which people are speculating two things from this. Obviously, WWE have a premium live event in Paris next year for Backlash. That could be his next appearance for the company. The other potential one is the fact that David Beckham retired whilst playing for Paris Saint-Germain. Obviously, football references soccer if you're in the States. Some may say, well, we don't know what's leading to. That could be one of the two scenarios. I would say that it could be both. But I don't see John, like I said, retiring unless it's a WrestleMania. But it'd be interesting to see what and how they go from here.
It's kind of weird that he would pick David Beckham of all people. Did you know what I mean? Everyone that's ever retired, why David Beckham?
I think that Netflix documentary is massive, isn't it?
Netflix documentary. Plus, I suppose he owns obviously the Inter Miami team, but it seems like a weird reference to pick.
It's an interesting one. At least it's one that I could make reference to, because if it had been an NFL player, I would have had no hope. So I'm pleased that at least I had something I could work with there. But I suppose we could go into our final thoughts. We've said there, obviously, potential direction for Solo, what they could do with John Cena. But just see what the comments you got to say. There's quite a few of them coming in. But all in all, obviously, you've said boring. But let's see if you can give a match rating and where it ranks amongst your ratings so far.
1.75. Honestly, wow. I just felt like I was watching something from like 10 years ago, man. I honestly was so bored of watching this.
I'm gonna say though, it's probably my lowest rated match up to this point. I'm gonna give a 2.25. However, I do think that the finish of this match has delivered on the message that they wanted to send. Now, I do agree that it's kind of overkill with the amount of finishes that's been used, but at the same time, at least Cena didn't kick out from any of them and didn't show signs of kicking out from any of them. It feels like the Solo probably could have finished this match whenever he wanted.
But like you said, he kept getting back up. Isn't that almost the same as kicking out?
Kind of, but he did it for the first, I think it was the first two. I could be the first three. I didn't like that, but certainly it wasn't.
Until the point that Solo's holding his head up off the mat, then like it was that's when you were kind of like, okay, it's now an acceptable beatdown.
Yeah, I do agree. There were the nitpicks for me when it comes to that, but we've give our thoughts. It's time to see what the chat is thinking. I'm going to say quite a few comments have come flying in. First off, we're going to see here from Robbie, 100% NXT Steve. I screamed when Kairi came out, mainly because I absolutely loved her work before, but that crowd was so poor. So that's clearly on the comment that was mentioned earlier. Absolutely. And also, we have a comment from Guy said, I bet if Nia Jax wasn't there, this match would have been better. Potentially. No,
so Nia Jax she had one of the better displays of everyone that was in there, to be fair.
I thought she played her part all right. Like I said, I thought that match was certainly passable. NXT word of the night, boring.
The night hasn't finished yet, mate. Don't worry.
Absolutely. We might hashtag it into the captions of this video. Hopefully everyone's not finding this video boring now, hopefully. But Robbie says, for me, this did exactly what it needed to do. Solo, he needed to win. However, Cena didn't have to get that dominated. It was heartbreaking to see that happen to Cena. I guess he won't be talking now, which was the plan, to take the voice away from Cena. So yeah. Ken's jumped a little bit ahead for us, but as I believe this is next on the show, and I think we can actually sum this up pretty quickly anyway. Did we like the Ibrahim Al Hajjad? I hope I've said the correct. Apologies if I haven't. Do the People's Elbow on Grayson Waller? I definitely did get a pop from me. Obviously, it was a Miz TV segment turned into Grayson Waller, and Ibrahim said that he was there for Miz TV, turned into a beat down to Grayson Waller. Yeah. I wasn't a big fan of this either, NXT. We can see your face, but boring surely is not the word you can go for this one.
Dude, we literally had this same thing at Mania almost, like with Shane McMahon and Snoop Dogg. It's the exact same thing, just repeated at Crown Jewel. Like, don't get me wrong, I respect the fact that they brought out like one of Saudi Arabia's biggest stars, but it was like, dude, we literally had this same sort of scenario 5-6 months ago at Mania. Grayson Waller was good because I like his heel work. I think he's a great character, and like, but I was just like, oh, I've seen this already this year. Please do something different.
I just, for me, it was a segment. I mean, I am a fan of shorter PLEs anyway, and when I saw this, I was like, "There's a reason this show is going to be like more than nearly 4 hours long," and it's just like, okay, I don't need this.
Moment.
Yeah, I didn't need this, but it's great for the local crowd. It's great for the people that enjoyed it. Ken, you got a pop out of it as well. That People's Elbow was worse than Snoop Dogg's, though. I've got to say that. But yeah, if it's got the pop, then fantastic. I'm pleased you enjoyed it. Robbie says, me personally, fantasy booking here. I'm having Solo take on Braun Breaker. To be honest, that's a match I want to see, and it definitely would be a barn burner. Absolutely. Ghost Spider with a great one here. Hopefully the comment does come up on the screen in a couple of moments. Here it does. What are your thoughts about Will Ospreay teasing a possible WWE debut on Twitter? Obviously had the eyes emoji after Seth retaining, and obviously Ospreay has confirmed he'll be leaving New Japan on the Power Struggle show. I believe it's Power Struggle was what it was called this weekend. Of course, he will be doing Wrestle Kingdom, which I believe is against Moxley and Umino in a freeway, and then his contract does expire in February, so he would be able to come around in time for WrestleMania. What would be your thoughts on Will Ospreay? Is it going to be WWE bound? Could it be AEW? Or could it be Impact Wrestling, aka TNA, who are making a play?
I reckon he should just stay as a free agent. I'd not been funny. He would have a better career in the moment staying as a free agent because he can still go New Japan. He can go AEW. He can go Impact. He can even go AAA. And I think AAA, he would have some killer matches with El Vikingo. So, do you know what I mean? That's what I'd want to see. I really think if he went to WWE, they would really limit his character work and they would limit his in-ring ability because, let's be honest, this guy has 5-star matches for fun. And it's like, you imagine going to WWE and not being able to see a Will Ospreay 5-star match. I think the only thing we'd want to see is Ricochet Will Ospreay.
That would be awesome. Seth Rollins and Will Ospreay as well. They're the ones that keep teasing it as well on Twitter. So that would be an awesome match as well. And AJ Styles, I imagine, would be a big pull for Will Ospreay, being a massive TNA fan as well. I imagine that's a match he would love to see. I imagine he's done quite a bit of repertoire for AJ's ring work from back in the day. But I personally would love to see him on WWE. I'd love to see him in TNA. I wouldn't be against seeing him in AEW. So wherever Will Ospreay goes, I will be watching. Ghost Spider says, I bet John Cena versus Solo Sikoa will have a rematch at the Royal Rumble. I tell you, that's certainly a possibility. I wouldn't rule that out.
No, I reckon they're going to both be in the Rumble and Cena's going to eliminate Solo. That's going to be the spot.
I like that. I would be fine with that as well. I know it's kind of crazy, but Braun Breaker or Drew McIntyre to retire John Cena. Drew versus John is a match I definitely would like to see, but Braun Breaker, I can see the benefits as well with a new start, getting that big rub instantly. Beckham flinging the boot at Cena like Sir Alex threw a boot. Loving your style there, Robbie. That's a good one. And so let's go. Just destroyed John Cena. Just keeps spamming the Samoan spike. Absolutely noob. That is what happens. Zayn, he was mentioning YouTuber JD from NY206 that Seth Rollins' best match since becoming world champion. This is why I don't really follow his work because I completely disagree. Was that the worst? Was that Cena worst match of all time? Definitely not.
No. Off the top of my head, I can't think of anything. I can't think of one, but I know that he's got a hell of a lot worse matches than that.
There are worse Cena matches and there are worse matches. We covered one of them this past week on the channel. If you want to check out the SCW rewind of Halloween Havoc 98. Also, Ghost Spider says, I thought Solo Sikoa would dominate John Cena because WWE wants to tease a possible Roman versus Solo Sikoa match. And I think that could be in the pipeline as well. As I said there, I think Elimination Chamber could could be the spot. Certainly, if not, they may go into it if or after Roman loses the championship, if that happens, or just after WrestleMania when they want to hit the reset button once again. Ghostbusters says, did you hear the rumors AJ Styles will return on SmackDown? Not only did we hear of it, we actually have predicted it before the rumors came out, and it's Steve.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting to see AJ back. I mean, it's going to be nice to see just AJ in general wrestle, man. Like he was getting squashed badly just before he disappeared.
Absolutely. Robbie Collins has set you a task. It's an impossible task, isn't it, Steve? Can you not call the main event boring? You need to use another word. Good luck, because it was the worst match for him. Be interested to see what words you will use. See if he actually might have liked that match. We don't know. We'll get to it.
We'll soon see.
We'll soon see. Roger says, did we think it was a good crowd? Not for the women's matches.
I just don't think it was a good crowd in general. Like the crowd kind of tried to be like Cardiff when it come to Drew at the start, and it was like it's kind of meh. But it was just it's the typical Saudi Arabian crowd. Unfortunately, they don't pop for the minor things like Kairi Sane returning.
And that's the where we think the crowd is a bit of a letdown. Give me Will Ospreay versus Joe Hendry right this second. Thank you, Robbie. We'd like to have delivered as well. Imagine MJF, CM Punk, Will Ospreay debut in WWE in 2024. It would be crazy if that happens. And I can say 2 out of 3 of them are being targeted by TNA as we speak. Cena versus John Laurinaitis was pretty bad. Oh, there we go. There's the memories. Oh, Robbie, why? Over the Limit 2012. That's, I tell you. That's a rewind one day, and that's an awful match.
I'm lucky that I can't remember it at this moment.
Well, let's not vote for that one. Ghost Spider says LA Knight and AJ Styles versus Solo and Jey Uso at Survivor Series. That certainly could be a possible direction if Carl Anderson is not back by that point either. Roger thinks Will Ospreay will go to TNA. He doesn't want to live in the USA. TNA do tapings, so he doesn't have to wrestle every week. It's a good shout there, Roger. We'll see what Will Ospreay does do. It says Will Ospreay is massive, even when it is not a Will Ospreay stream. You got to love it. We'll move on next. Then, in the meantime, Logan Paul defeats Rey Mysterio to win the United States Championship. And I'm going to say that I believe this was match of the night. This I thought was the best match, and the reasoning for it is that, well, I just don't think we can doubt Logan Paul anymore, because every time he goes out there, he actually does great matches and great moves and does buckshot lariats and all sorts of dives. And to be fair, he did something today, yesterday, that actually impressed me quite a lot, and I think is something that will probably, I don't think should go under the radar. I think he saved Rey Mysterio from breaking his neck.
Yeah, by the looks of it, just Steve, like, bear with me 1 second, right? This match is boring, but it's boring for the right reasons, because I felt that Logan Paul put on a fantastic wrestling match, because he was able to, like, Rey is the perfect opponent for him, the little guy. Wow, what an opponent for him. But the fact that he was doing things like the rest holds and the do you know what I mean, the joint manipulation, this was perfect for Logan Paul. It was boring, but it was perfect, and I that's why I appreciate it. But like, just such a quality match, man.
It was. The only thing that let it down for me, and if there was anything that let it down, was the finish. And here's my reasoning why. Obviously, the YouTuber, once again, just like SummerSlam, looking to give the brass knuckles. Totally fine with that spot. It's not my favorite way that I'd want Logan Paul to win a championship. However, I get it. And then someone stopped the brass knuckles, which we later revealed was Santos Escobar. Escobar goes to chase said YouTuber away, leaves the brass knuckles right next to Logan Paul.
That was my other reason for why I forgot. But I remembered it a little while ago and then forgot. And now you've said it, I'm like, oh yeah, the ending was terrible. That's why. It's such lazy booking. Why didn't you just do like Santos tries to clock Logan and ends up clocking Rey, costing in the match? You know what I mean? But who just casually leaves a pair of knuckle dusters on the ring apron? Honestly, it's almost like it was like, I was sitting there thinking, this is the moment. This is where Santos is going to turn on Rey. He's going to clock him purposely. And he's going to cost him that United States Championship. Nah, just leaves him on the side and chases after Logan's mate, and Logan wins. Great.
Here's what I think. I think he did do it on purpose, but I think that it's not.
I'm hoping he did.
because if he did it on purpose and it's revealed at a later date, it kind of goes like, okay, well at least it was done in a what seems to be a stupid way, but you look stupid for a while, then you prove actually no, this was my plan all along. However, yeah, not the best finish and execution. However, what we suspected, Logan Paul to win the United States Championship, we think it's certainly something that will go on till WrestleMania. We think LA Knight is going to take the title from him. Do we still believe? Oh, I mean, you were the one to bring it up. The custom-made United States Championship. Do you reckon that's something they should look into, a prime US title?
Yes, 100%. He'll have a prime strap, like the back of the strap that goes around his back will have prime on it. 100%. They have to do it, man. They have to make the most of this opportunity because, like, what we say now is going to be what champ for the next 4, maybe 5 months.
Yeah.
Why the hell not? Like, it makes all the sense in the world.
Absolutely.
It gives it almost, in fact, if anything, it gives it a precipice for whoever's going to take that title off of him to restore the lineage and the respect that the United States Championship is deserved and not be plastered with free advertisement for Logan Paul's really bad tasting hydration drink. Sorry.
Yeah, there you go. There we go. And to be fair as well, I mean, to have the prime side plates on there, have like an ice pop style United States Championship, which has still got the red, white, and blue. It's something to go for it. Yeah, it would be perfect, I think. And definitely WWE Shop, I think, would make an absolute killing off doing it. So I think something they should definitely look into. So, yeah, do we think, obviously, we're near the business end as well, to where we're going to start getting on the road to WrestleMania. Survivor Series is next. Then we don't have a PLE till the Royal Rumble, Elimination Chambers in Australia. Is there a chance that Logan Paul could appear on every PLE between now and WrestleMania?
Like I said in the prediction show, I think Logan's going to be on every SmackDown going forward. The fact that Roman's not going to be on TV till January now, what, you can have no titles on SmackDown for the next 2.5 months? No way, man. Logan's going to be there every week, I reckon.
Be interesting to see. So all in all, just want to give a bit more praise, by the way. Logan Paul literally saving Rey Mysterio from breaking his neck, probably. Not only did he do that by catching him, he then turned it into a move afterwards as if it was meant to be part of the match. Just want to say, flawless execution, and it just shows that Logan Paul, not only with such a handful of matches, is so good at what he does. You can't deny it. Whether you like him or you don't like him, he's very good at this. He's proving to be one of the better ones that WWE has, and that just shows a freak athlete in itself. So credit to Logan Paul. All in all, let's give a star rating, and we move to the chat.
I'm gonna say 3.25. It was the best match on the night, but the finish kind of soured me unless it pays off at a later date. But like I said in the start, the way that Logan's able to do a proper wrestling match with joint manipulation and holds and stuff, I was just really impressed by that. The fact that this was what this match was designed to do.
Yeah, I agree with you. 3.25 as well for me. I think, like I say, match of the night for me on this show. And yeah, I think that did everything it needed to do. This has been the most popular match we've talked about so far, or certainly the chat is blowing up anyway at this moment. So let's see what everyone's got to say. Robbie, straight in there once again. I'm so happy for Logan. This is my match of the night too. He absolutely saved Ray at one point within the match, but the match was fantastic. I have to agree, Robbie definitely was match of the night. Ray in house. Ray, hope you're doing well. Thank you for checking out the stream. Says, would you like to see an LA Knight and AJ Styles have a tag team title run? Personally, for me, I wouldn't.
No, I'm not. They're both solo competitors at the minute. I'd have to have a really good reason or story for it.
Yeah, I think that's the thing for me. Obviously, to have them to go through, say, the Bloodline or whatever, or if Carl Anderson comes back. But I think LA Knight definitely is a much better name to have the position with AJ Styles to go against Jimmy Uso and Solo Sikoa, especially judging off the main event as well. To go through that, to then see AJ Styles go towards trying a title match, LA Knight needs to become a favorite going towards the Rumble. We'll be talking about more about LA Knight and what he needs to do next after this. But a tag team title run for me feels a bit beneath him when he's just done a main event of a PLE.
Yeah, I mean, I think his whole goal is going to be revenge, really. Like I imagine we're probably going to get Solo versus... We're going to get LA versus Solo, LA versus Jimmy at some point over the next 2 weeks. There's probably going to be the story going into the Rumble, to be fair.
I would have thought so as well. Robbie says this match was boring. Get it on a t-shirt. Absolutely. $49.99. Who's buying? To be honest, I think the brass knuckles make Logan seem weaker. There's no reason why Logan couldn't beat Ray clean. Absolutely agree.
No, because Logan's done it before. Logan's done all these dirty tactics before, so I kind of he's a scumbag villain. Do you know what I mean? That's what he does. He cheats to win. It's what's Logan Paul's MO.
Absolutely, yeah. To be fair, I do see the MO, I do see the argument there, but I do believe Logan could have done it clean as well. But why, if you don't need to? I guess it's a heel motto after all. Zane says, "Would you like to see KSI versus Logan Paul in WWE?" The man that was dressed as a bottle of Prime, not for me.
No. I'm sure he'll probably be involved at some point in this story between now and April. But again, it would be like he was at Mania.
I think it's one of those things that people that are into the influencers and stuff like that, I think that there is a market for it. But I don't think I'm that market. I can deal with the fact Logan Paul's come in and he's done such a tremendous job going in against WWE superstars. But to have literally a match that involves two influencers, that for me is where I kind of go, no, I'm not interested in this. This turns me away.
Yeah, I mean, I forgot to mention this as well. The fact that Michael Cole basically spoiled the entire outcome of this match with his commentary because he was constantly doing was banging on about, oh, Logan Paul now has like 96 million combined followers. And all he was doing throughout this match was just banging on about social media influence, how many followers he's got. Like if he wins, he's going to take the title on the podcast and all this kind of stuff. And like that really soured this match for me.
Yeah, I do agree. I see where you're coming from with that, with the commentary stuff. But hey, if it's true, it shows the logic in why WWE have made this decision. CD and House C Nation Dog on YouTube as well. Thank you for checking the video. It says Sami Zayn can't move on from the Judgment Day. He really can't. Bring on War Games. C Nation goes on to say as well, John Cena should have won this match. Don't get me started on John Cena. Needs to go through a struggle to get a singles match win. It feels to be the story they are doing. It says John Cena is a legend. He should win from time to time. Maybe that time has passed him, or maybe that time will be WrestleMania.
He's not getting any younger.
He's not. Robbie says Logan will tour everywhere with that belt. He'll wear it everywhere. WWE need to take advantage and get that belt on display. Robbie, agree 100%. And CD goes on to say that Solo Sikoa isn't ready to be main event star. Why did he beat John Cena? Clearly, they think it's the right move. John Cena may be going back to the acting world. Obviously, the acting strike, if it's finished, that's when John Cena would go back. I imagine that's why they would have written him off, if they have written him off. And we'll see if John Cena will return in the coming weeks. But do you reckon, as a final prediction on this, yes or no, does John Cena return in like between now and Survivor Series, or are we waiting a longer time? Like you said, I think the Royal Rumble you mentioned earlier on could be a spot he could come back into.
Yeah, I think Rumble, just because it's a good way to carry on the story without actually having to have a match of the fact that if both of these guys are in the Rumble.
We'll see. I think at this point, but there is a story to see where John Cena struggles to win a singles match. There's also me struggling to say a sentence as well, CD, but we got there in the end. Nobe says I can see all the YouTube channels having a field day after Logan Paul winning the US title yesterday. Absolutely, be interesting to see. Because of the fact I didn't see the show till today, I haven't seen many people's reactions. I'm looking forward to checking what other people got to say.
I obviously sailed on the initial idea because I was like, dude, this is Rey Mysterio. You can't have Logan Paul beat Rey Mysterio. But I was like, do you know what? Logan Paul hasn't had a bad match since he's been in WWE, and business-wise, it makes perfect sense. I'm actually all for it now. Like, I'm glad that I've done a complete 180 on it, and I'm behind it, and I'm actually looking forward to it because Logan Paul actually, he's quite good on a mic, man. And like when they get him in backstage segments and stuff like that, he can be really entertaining.
I have to agree. I do agree. He's doing his job very, very well. Why have a promo on the pay-per-view? Why have Miss TV and Grayson Waller and, well, a bad people's elbow on the pay-per-view? That's what I'm going to say.
Exactly.
Kairi Sane will have interaction with Asuka eventually. We'll get there as well, CD. We've got 3 more matches to get to. We'll be getting to it in a couple of seconds. A couple more comments and we'll get to that match indeed. We'd like to see a Japanese stable. Roger asks, I think asking this question, we need to go on to that match now because too many people are going to it. And it's something that I want to discuss as well. So we are going to get there. Let's start by going through the match then. Io Sky defeats Bianca Belair to retain the WWE Women's Championship. I think the story can be summed up pretty well with that. I think these two were having a decent match. I think it's a shame they kind of had to follow Logan and Ray with the crowd that was there because I think that the crowd were not into this like they should have been. This, I think, was a very good match. I actually think, for me, this was the second best match of the night. And I will say that obviously Bayley getting involved once again. Io Sky not happy that Bayley was getting involved. Obviously, Bianca Belair looked like she was overcoming the odds with Io Sky and Bayley, obviously at ringside, until someone attacked Bianca Belair on the floor when the referee was distracted. And of course, that turned out to be Kairi Sane, who then very sneakily actually hiding behind the ring apron, but keeping an eye that Bianca, if she was getting back into the ring or not. As Bianca did get back into the ring, Io Sky landing her moonsault for the pinfall victory. Io Sky and Kairi Sane celebrating together after the match with Bayley, looking a little bit confused and heartbroken on the floor because it felt like she had no clue what was going on. And I think that what's an interesting note, a noob, you've been saying this for the longest time, and Michael Cole mentioned it on commentary when Kairi Sane was taken out of WWE. It was done by Bayley in the pandemic. And of course, now she's come back to help Io Sky. What does that leave with damage control? Is it going to be damaged control moving forward? Are we getting a new faction in WWE? First and foremost, Steve, I'd like to get your thoughts on the match itself.
It was okay. It wasn't nothing to write. It was nothing to write home about. It wasn't as boring as a lot of the other matches were. In fact, all the other matches were, but asterisk next to Ray versus Logan. It was okay. The only problem is it's kind of like Roman Reigns at the minute. Is at some point damage control are going to get involved, and it's kind of like it's the same story hashed out in the women's division, and it's kind of like cool. And then obviously the lackluster return that like everyone back home would have popped hard for Kairi Sane, but it was so underwhelming. I felt really bad for her. Like I was like, man, this should have been made a much bigger deal out of you than the response you got. Because I can imagine, in fact, I can pretty much gather that most of that crowd sat there and went, I don't know who that is. And I think that's the biggest shame. It's like, and then obviously it ends up costing Bianca the match. And then we also get the reunion between Io and Kairi, which this is the only positive I can really take from this, is that there's a story coming out of it for Friday. There's a reason why they'll need to go and watch SmackDown on Friday, which is the most important part. The match was okay for me. I think it was pretty much a TV quality match up until the finale, and it was like that's probably all I can say about it. Like I can't. It's not like I said, it's not as worse as the other matches, but it's still not great.
Fair enough. I mean, like I said, I thought this was the second best match of the night. I was kind of the same as you. Bayley gets involved again. I thought she was written out after SmackDown. Obviously, she was put through a table by Bianca Belair. I thought that was you're not coming to this show, and it was going to be one-on-one. Obviously, Dakota Kai can't get physically involved in matches still at the moment that we know of. However, when I saw Kairi Sane come out, now I agree with you with the idea of the reaction in the crowd, but my head immediately thought, well, obviously, I take away from the crowd, and I thought, wow, we knew she's coming back. She's coming back. And I thought to myself, hang on, she's not going to do what I thought she was going to do, which was to be with Asuka, to be a part of the Kabuki Warriors. Or is she? But she's not come back as a babyface here, like I imagined it would initially be. She's come back as a heel. And for me, Kairi as a heel is a lot more interesting because the pirate gimmick that she's done previously, it's a fun gimmick, but I kind of feel it's a bit goofy for WWE in 2023. I just don't think it connects with a mainstream audience. Doesn't get over. This Kairi, I think, has the potential to make shockwaves and make headwaves in WWE, and I think it's going to be a lot more exciting and interesting to watch moving forward. The fact now that, like you said, we have a cliffhanger with the story, we don't know what's going to lead to. Io, what's going to go on? Is it going to be embraced with Bayley? Is it going to be a case of that we're going to now turn on Bayley? Look, there are rumors about that potentially we could be getting a new faction, which could suggest Asuka could be getting involved. Maybe I could just say another name for people that WWE could be interested in. If you don't want to know, you can go on mute. 3, 2, 1. If you remember from NXT, Saray is potentially in talks with coming back to WWE as well. That'd be interesting to see. Now, I must admit with Saray, I didn't think we'd see the best of her in NXT, but to be issues a part of this group, I think would be quite interesting because it feels like it could be a bit cutthroat, and I feel like this is going to be a dangerous group. I'm looking forward to it and what it could lead to for what Bayley needs going forward. Because let's say it's War Games, let's say it's further down the line, the numbers, for example, Kairi Sane coming back, but if Bayley's only got Dakota Kai's not in ring right now. What's that going to lead to? Are we going to get, for example, her have to turn towards the likes of Charlotte Flair, Bianca Belair, people that she's gone against in the past? I mentioned Charlotte Flair. What about someone like Becky Lynch, an old friend as well? And if we're really going to go into fantasy booking territory, what about Mercedes Moné? I've heard this on the weekend. Take it what you will. There are no plans for New Japan Pro Wrestling and Mercedes Moné when she returns. I watched Tom Collier's stream the other day, and he has given us his source of saying that Mercedes Moné is having second thoughts of joining AEW with the recent booking of the women's division. Obviously, other people coming in like Ric Flair and people like that. Second thoughts doesn't mean it's not going to still. It could still happen, but second thoughts. That would be awesome if Bayley loses her group, but then has to call upon her true best friend to come back into WWE, aka Sasha Banks. Am I fancy booking too much here? Probably, but I've got a reason to get excited. So for me, I'm quite into this.
If they go with the idea of putting Saray, Kairi, Io, and Asuka as a faction, this faction should dominate everything. Every division, NXT, Raw, SmackDown, they should be all over tag team titles. They literally should hold all the gold. I'm so glad that Saray, if this is true and she does come back, she's not going to be in that stupid, oh, my grandmother left me a special medallion crap that Vince stereotypically booked her in NXT, which was the biggest pile of crap. Like I said, it sounds really exciting. And if they do it exactly like Shinsuke, have them cut promos in Japanese with subtitles, because they come across a hell of a lot more threatening when it's done in Japanese. And then, like you said, Bayley's got to call an old friend. Maybe Sasha comes back. Maybe we get Becky Lynch involved. Maybe we get Charlotte Flair and we get the 4 women from Japan versus the 4 horsewomen. And then we finally get the 4 horsewomen going off at some point within the next 2 years, and we get a match that should have been done years ago. Maybe I'm
unless you can
too much.
Maybe we are. We could be fantasy booking far too much here. Take everything with a pinch of salt. However, the new faction looks like it could be on. Whether it's going to be 3 members, 4 members, we'll have to wait and see. One thing's for sure, it's going to be interesting to see where the storyline needs going forward. And for me, it's why it makes it one of the highlights of the show. I'm really happy that Kairi Sane has come back, and I do think it's one of the biggest talking points of this show. Yes, did the crowd not react in the right way? Should this have been done somewhere else? Arguably, yes, but this is the point of where they needed to do it and where they need to make the switch going forward. And if it's probably to lead into Survivor Series, which is probably going to, War Games is coming into it. There is probably it was the right destination. I think people that will see Kairi on SmackDown this upcoming week, I think are going to be interested and excited to see her, and I think they will create quite a buzz when she's there.
And obviously, they've got to do the whole interview. Why have you returned? Why did you help Io? Kind of thing. And like this is almost feels like this is the babyface turn of Bayley. Who knows?
Exactly. It could be, because all in all, at the end of this, we all thought Bayley was going to turn on Io Sky. Bayley really did have the best intentions for Io Sky and wanted everything for her. Bayley kept her word, where we all thought she was going to turn on her. Instead, it's going to be the other way around, and that's going to be fascinating as a story to see that unfold. And for me, all in all, really hyped for it, not going to lie. Star rating for this match?
Like I said, it's not the greatest match. It's more about the story. I'm going to go 2.5.
I'm going to go for 3. I do think that this match was a bit better than you've said. And yeah, I mean, if we're going to go with Fallout for this, then probably it's the best thing on the show, really, if we're looking at it. But all in all, we're going to go into the chat as it's going pretty crazy once again. Let's see what everyone has got to say. I've actually gone up too many comments at this point. Yeah, so Roger basically asked that question, would we like to see that stable? I think a resounding yes is the answer to that, but we'll see what other people.
That's also a way for WWE to break out into Japan as well and properly like establish themselves as like a company over there.
Absolutely. Ken said, at first I thought Kairi Sane felt flat, but going into business for herself, bringing in a good friend to distance herself from damage was history between Sane and Bayley. Absolutely. I have to agree with that. And Robbie says that this match was my favorite because of Kairi. Nothing made my night happier than her return. I've been waiting for her return for so long. They're slowly turning Io from Bayley. Absolutely, indeed. Robbie says as well that Io's title reign has been booked really poorly, in his opinion. She could have been absolutely amazing title run, like genuinely unbelievable, but the matches are just so mid. Would you agree with that comment? Do you reckon Io's had a mid time? Because to be fair, she's beat Bianca, she's beat Charlotte, beat Asuka. She's raising a profile for sure.
It's the finishes that are ruining it. The fact that Bayley is having to help her win near enough every single one of these matches is the reason why this is feeling really flat and deflated. It's like you're not giving Io a chance to be champion. You're giving Io a chance to be babied by Bayley all the time. So do you know what I mean? Io's not getting a hard fought win by themselves. It's always a case of someone or something is interfering.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. I suppose that can be the case there with it, but definitely it's a profile. She's getting a high profile in WWE, and I think with this group, certainly could be going to another level. Do you guys think that Bayley will face Kairi after she returns or remain as a heel? I think we've gone with, we think a babyface run is coming eventually, and I think that, that match will happen.
Yeah, either in a Survivor Series or Rumble, maybe, that we're going to get Kairi versus Bayley. I think that I'd like to give the story a bit more time to breathe. I think maybe the Rumble is probably the best bet for that one.
I reckon they could play a little bit of like you said there, a bit of a distance with it. War Games could be interesting to see what they do now because they have the women now to technically do 3-on-3 at the moment, and maybe Oscar turns heel in the War Games. It's not something that happens in the men's match, happens in the women's match. So they've got a lot what they can do with this. CD says that Charlotte will beat Io for the championship, and then Bianca beats Flair to win it at WrestleMania. So we have discussed on this channel before as well. Noob says damage control is now damaged goods. Loving that. Also, I get the feeling that Kairi Sane bringing back is pretty much has Oscar's evil smiling face written all over it. Pay attention to Oscar's video package back in SummerSlam. I have to watch that again. I would say of details off the top of my head, I can't remember that video package personally.
No, I can't either.
Robbie says, did anyone see Bayley's tweet earlier? No, I haven't. Have you seen it at NXT, Steve?
Give me a second. I will find it, but carry on.
There we go. Do we think that Crown Jewel was better pay-per-view than Bound for Glory? I have seen both, so I can comment on that. No, I do not. I think Bound for Glory was better. CD says a lot of goofy gimmicks in the women's division has went out. For example, Bayley and Kairi are more serious now, and they are a lot more serious now. Noob says Sasha Banks is coming back there. We'll hold on to that thought. We'll see if it does or doesn't happen, but we know that quite a few companies are chasing that signature. Ghost Spider says, my opinion, Io Sky, greatest NXT women's champion of all time, but her current championship reign is mid. Fair play. And Charlotte Flair is teaming with Shotzi as of late. She did on SmackDown this past week. We'll see if that will continue going forward. NXT, Steve.
As Bailey's just tweeted and put at I'm King Kota, which is obviously the Kota Kai. I'm back in the States from Saudi. Call me back.
There we are. Interesting.
Oh, maybe some 2-on-2 action.
Could be. We love a bit of tag team wrestling. What does Bayley do now? One of her best friends is with her enemy. Well, as I say, that's the big question. That's the cliffhanger. And that's what we're going to be clinging on to when it comes to next week. We'll have to wait and see. Robbie says here, wait, Steve, you might be cooking. Bayley, Mercedes, Dakota, and Cora Jade, let them cook. Oh, well, that could be interesting. That'd be a reason to get Cora Jade up as well, actually, because she's not doing anything in NXT at this moment. NXT, Steve.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of women in the women's division NXT that are currently frustrated at their current booking situation. Cora being one, I believe. There's one more, but I forget the name. Now it passes me. But there's Gigi Dolan. I think Gigi Dolan's not a completely happy bunny as well at the minute.
Yeah, I've seen that as well elsewhere. DWE, Dan the Man is in the house. I thought it was a weird show last night. Felt all the decisions were very safe. Very safe they were indeed, or as NXT would say,
very boring.
I teed him up there. It had to be done. If Sasha Banks returns, I want to see Sasha Banks versus Io Sky or Sasha Banks versus Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania 40. If Sasha does return, big if. Remember, she just might not sign for AEW. She still might sign for AEW. Take that with a very big pinch of salt. She might still sign for AEW. Didn't say she was signing for WWE. Just said that she might not sign. The second thoughts. All it was, second thoughts. I had second thoughts about lunch earlier on, then went with the first option. So it can always go back depending on what you're doing. Anyway, if she does come back, she'll be a big deal, big time player. I'm pretty sure she could call all the shots. That's for sure. Nick, Steve, did you have anything you'd like to add before I go to this comment from Ken?
No, go for it, mate.
Was this the worst Saudi Arabian pay-per-view? I'm going to say no. I think there's worse.
Without looking at match cards, this was the most boring one for me. I wasn't the biggest fan of Greatest Royal Rumble either. I think that was such a the fact that Titus sliding underneath the ring is probably the highlight of that show. I think pretty much sums it up. That and fake Yokozuna.
I mean, those are two great moments. Let's be fair. Let's be honest. Does make it better than this one. I still don't understand why Jimmy was helping the bloodline. Neither do I, to be fair. It just doesn't make any sense. Charlotte and Shotzi are going after the women's tag team titles, says Noob there. We'll wait and see. I don't agree with that, unfortunately, Noob. I can see Charlotte going into the singles division. I don't see Shotzi doing that at this point. If anything, I see Charlotte and Scarlett potentially starting something up.
Charlotte and Scarlett. It just writes itself, doesn't it?
Sorry, not Charlotte and Scarlett. Shotzi and Scarlett. Sorry.
I was going to say Charlotte and Scarlett. The problem they've got is they've got too many big names in WWE and not enough stories or titles for them to feud over.
That's the problem. That's the problem. Stories is more than anything.
Factions. We need more women's factions. I say we get them all on TV.
Would be good there. Ghostman said, "Honestly, if you got Saraya was in, but she's not. She left a long time ago, but they're looking to try and get her back, according to the dirt sheets. Triple H mindset: every babyface must go through a struggle. Come on, sometimes the babyface wins if it's tried first. That happens in life too. There you are. And Noob says 3 out of 5 because of the storyline there. Storyline certainly does help it as well there. Got a suggestion there of Bayley, Dakota, Mercedes, and Cora versus Io, Kairi, Saraya, and Asuka. That's a 10 out of 10 match right there. CD says the women's tag team titles, Chelsea Green and Nia Piper Niven, are booked like trash. I'm enjoying Chelsea Green. And that match, I said, by the way, for next year's War Games, fair play. Will Bayley go back to the hugger character? Zayn, I don't think so.
No.
Asuka said she has a plan. That's what was said there with the SummerSlam one there. Okay, Noob, fair play. And to be fair, if that's the case, maybe you do have one.
Long-time storytelling.
Yeah, maybe.
It's a rarity for WWE.
It is a rarity. Turning Point, such a lazy show. CD, I've not seen all of it yet, so I can't comment there. I take it Steve thinks that the Crown Jewel was boring. Kind of. You've got the gist there. Just a little bit. Talent may not be happy with their booking, but they can't do anything about it because they're not the ones booking the show. No, true. Robbie wants Shotzi as a women's tag team champion. Irish Wrestling Entertainment in the house. Great to see them here. Hope you're all doing well. Kairi was slapping hands with the fans after the match. She might not be a heel. Interesting. There we go. I didn't notice that little nugget there.
No, I didn't see it either. But then again, I was just really done with this show at this point.
Well, the women's War Games will cause a complete shift on the SmackDown women's division, hopefully tease an eventual Bianca heel turn. I like this shout a lot, and I really do think that the women's division has got some much needed spice in it from Kairi's return. I do agree here that I think a big shift could be happening on SmackDown in the coming weeks.
I hope so. It's been a long time calling. Like, we haven't had a heel Bianca since NXT, and I've been saying it for at least the last year.
Absolutely. Ghostman said thoughts on Shotzi and Scarlett Paranormal show. I haven't seen it.
Haven't seen it, but if it's like a lot of those paranormal shows back in the day, I really probably won't be bothered with it.
No, I don't think I'll be going to it either. What I will be going to, though, is Cody Rhodes defeating Damian Priest, the equal shortest match on the show. As we said there, it looked like Judgment Day wanted to get involved. Jey Uso managed to get people away from the ringside area. Cody eventually picks up the win with the Crossroads. I thought this was an opportunity to have a breakout moment for Damian Priest and give the heels some heat going into War Games for the Judgment Day. Didn't turn out that way.
Exactly what I said earlier with the booking doesn't make sense. You've got all the baby faces going into War Games strong, and the Judgment Day are the ones that are chasing. And as per usual, Cody Rhodes overcomes all the odds and wins. Guess what? Boring. Dude, honestly, it's I hate to say it, but it just is boring booking. It's nothing like Priest winning is a bigger deal coming out of the show. Like, the fact that he's already had his Money in the Bank briefcase stolen at the start of the night, you would have thought picking up a win over Cody Rhodes would have given him some momentum and something to look forward to now. But like I said, with the fact that we've got Judgment Day chasing down the baby faces for a War Games match just doesn't make sense at the minute for me.
Do you? This is the nitpick I really had with this match. It just sort of was a breeze through match for me. It wasn't really too much of detail of note, really, apart from the attempted interference didn't work out, and obviously the result. But the fact that there was no real references for the rest of the night, Damian Priest had his Money in the Bank stolen. Like, you would have thought that he would be angry about this, and there would be like, I don't know, maybe even a distraction. Sami could have come back out with that briefcase to cost him the match or something.
Why did Dom not come out at the start with the other two? Why did he come out like 10 minutes later with a chair, like as if to like make a big deal out of it? And it's like, I'm not being funny. There's chairs ringside. He could have just come out as well. I just don't understand the booking for that part.
It's to get the booze, isn't it? They're not piped in, ladies and gentlemen. Star rating for Cody versus Damian Priest?
2. It was okay. It was like just okay, man. Like wrong result for me.
Yeah, wrong result for me as well. It is what it is. 2-star match. I just felt for me that this, like you said, this was house show booking here. This was not really what they.
This whole thing was house show booking.
It didn't kind of have the let's say the potential that it could have had of us talking and saying wow at the end of it. But CD says that it was the smart move. Completely disagrees. CD would love to know the reasoning why, because we don't agree with that, but would love to know, because certainly I'm open-minded to seeing the take. Robbie Collins says, now I agree with Alex Steve in this one. Boring. Cody Rhodes, boring. Clearly not a fan of Cody either.
Just the problem is with Cody is it's just the same thing at the minute. It's let's stack up the odds against him. Cody wins. It's like they missed the opportunity to really do something special with him not beating Roman at Mania. And now it's just the same thing every time. It's like, oh, Cody's in a dynamic where the numbers aren't in his favor, and like he has to be the underdog and he has to rise above and all this. And it's like, is this genuinely going to be Cody's thing until he wins the title? Is underdog overcomes. I'm sorry, but it's boring.
Thinking it happened at WrestleMania 39. I agree with Ray's comment, by the way. I do totally agree. TNA, fantastic the way they booked their women's division. Cody Rhodes has already lost, already worse to Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar this year, or lost, he said, already lost them earlier this year. Absolutely. That is true. Cody gets the win this time, I guess, but I just felt like it was I think Cody should have got the win at War Games, but maybe they're going to do something a bit different.
Like I said, unless the idea that Priest cashes in at Survivor Series and walks out WWE champion, then I can understand this booking totally, and it makes perfect sense that you have the baby faces walk out on cloud 9, and the heels have to chase it. And like I said, if that's how it is, and Priest wins the World Championship, that's okay. But like I said, we've got 2 weeks to see what they do on TV and how they book Survivor Series.
We'll see how they do it. Indeed, there. Robbie really doesn't like Cody and doesn't want him to win the title at this point. WWE booked this as a Saudi show, not a PLE. There wasn't any good booking in Robbie's opinion. And Roger says, Steve, you really hate Crown Jewel. Seems like you really hate it.
Do you know what the thing was? If you go back and watch the prediction shows, I was actually really excited for this, because you look at the card and there's potential to have really good. Drew versus Seth had the potential to be a really good match. Wasn't good. Like the ending was probably the best part. This match had the potential to be really good. Wasn't that good. It was a bang average TV match. Logan versus Ray, I thought was great. It was boring, but it was. But for like I said, for the reasons how they booked it, it was great. The women's match was just boring. It's just the same stuff. They really could have done so much with this. This is my problem that I'm going to do now. Every time we do predictions, is if I gas myself up, I'm just going to be really let down. I think from now on, my enthusiasm for every show going forward is going to be a 1, just because in that way I can only expect better things from it when it actually happens.
There you go. There you go. We've got some interesting questions coming. A couple of them I'd like to save to the end, really, but I don't want to lose them in the comments either. So we'll see how we go. But CD says, Cody Rhodes should have beat Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 39. Totally agree. This belt with Roman Reigns also is confusing. Roman Reigns has won, but they count it as WWE and Universal Championship. Well, it's a combined championship now, and the only reason they're kind of keeping that as the combined championships is because they don't want to lose the complete lineage of the WWE Championship, and it's the Universal Championship that has all the days.
Yeah, he's the undisputed WWE Universal Champion.
So it will change the WWE Championship when he loses it. Lisa says Cody Rhodes not there to put over everybody. Fair play. We just think Damian was the right person for this particular one. And if Cody doesn't finish the story, Ghost Spider will stop watching WWE. Might lose you from the streams then. That wouldn't be good. And how would we book Crown Jewel better? Ken, I want you to put this in if I forget it towards the end of the stream. So we've only got one more match to talk about, because it's just good to do that at the end, because then it's like a summary, if you will. So Ken, bear with us for about 5 to 10 minutes most as we go in towards the main event. And we'll talk about Roman Reigns defeating LA Knight to retain the undisputed WWE Universal Championship. Now, of course, as mentioned earlier in the stream, LA Knight kicked out of a spear. He did kick out of one. Of course, the ref, I believe there was a ref bump again, wasn't there, with a blood force trauma. So, obviously, LA Knight couldn't get the pinfall. Jimmy Uso come out as well. A Solo was stopped on the rampway, and Jimmy basically got involved. That was enough to stop LA Knight obviously getting the stuff done. Roman did a spear through the barricade on the floor, does a spear in the ring, and then we get the 1, 2, 3. 20-minute match. I'm going to be honest with you, and I'm going to say that this was booked probably, despite lazy booking, because it is lazy booking at this point. Ref bump, obviously the interference. You know, we've seen it. I mean the barricade spot as well, Romans, every match. I'm sick of seeing that. But at the same time, I would say that if we're going to be honest here, LA Knight could not lose clean in this match. If someone had to lose by shenanigans, it was LA Knight. And the fact that it looked like he had the match won at least is something to keep the credibility moving forward, because otherwise LA Knight would just plummet down the card and he'd be like a Cesaro or someone like that we'd forget. I don't want to see that with LA Knight. I want to see him move on and continue still to be in the ranks in WWE. So all in all, I think this match was booked correctly. However, I didn't find myself overly invested in the match.
Say it. I dare you to say it, Steve. It was boring.
Well, you can't say it. You're not meant to say it.
Oh, I can't say it. All right, let me think of another word. Go on, carry on.
I will use the word that I have the problem with this. Predictable, because I didn't buy into an LA Knight pinfall at any point in the match. And the reasoning for it is because LA Knight's push has gone on for just a couple of months. And I think that, all right, he has had some moments where he's broke through. Obviously, without the Bray Wyatt storyline, he doesn't get to where he is now. Obviously, with the fact that he's just got his catchphrase naturally over in the last sort of 3 or 4 months doesn't get him, every time he's got TV time, he's got himself cheered. But the push really started from Money in the Bank, which he lost. And then obviously when he got into the winning streak from SummerSlam, we're only a couple of months later. And it's like, I think that this match would have served a better purpose for LA Knight to be, say, after the Royal Rumble. I think Elimination Chamber would have been a great spot. Payback, somewhere around there would have been great for LA Knight to have this match. I think because of the timing of where we're at, I never believed there was a chance. And unfortunately, because it's Roman Reigns, he's only ever going to lose this championship at WrestleMania. He's not going to lose it anywhere else. So predictable is what I'm going to say. But that's what takes it away. But other than that, this match was actually booked correctly.
Lazy is how this match is. It's lazy. Like, honestly, it gets to the point where you're sitting again. I'm sorry. If every match that Roman Reigns is going to have, the fact that Solo Sikoa and Jimmy get involved, and you sit there and think to yourself, in any other workplace in the world, your boss would have a problem and be like, do you know what? You've cheated to win. And there just never seems to be any repercussions for it. It's never a case of, okay, Roman, well, if you can't win, if you can't have a proper one-on-one match, then I'm going to stick you in a match with 6 other guys. And I'm going to make it even harder for you. Oh, wait, it's going to be it's going to be inside Elimination Chamber, for example, where you can't have outside interference. Oh, no, wait, they could do that because Shawn Michaels managed to do that once. So do you know what I mean? It's just lazy booking at this point. And it's like, although you turn around and said you appreciated the interference because it keeps LA Knight strong, I would rather have seen LA Knight just take a hell of a beating, had a really good couple of near falls where he kicked out of a spear, kicked out of a Superman punch, went through a table, whatever, and just kept fighting and had grit and determination. I would have felt a lot better that he would have come out booking a lot stronger. Like, interference is just so lazy, and it's like I'm so bored of watching Roman Reigns win via interference. Like if you go by the dirt sheets, and there's a possibility that within the next couple of months or whenever, Roman's cousins are gonna join the company, the two that have just left MLW, and it's like, great, we're gonna have the same thing we've been doing for the last 2 years. And it's like, at what point? Honestly, at what point does someone, either authoritative state, just turn around and goes, Roman, you keep winning via interference. We can't keep doing this. You're cheating the system. I don't know. It's just lazy booking, man.
It is lazy booking. It just feels like on this occasion, I felt it was, despite lazy, you needed to protect this wrestler. Yeah. This wrestler needed to protect.
Yeah, I get that.
Like with Jay, for example, I didn't understand it at SummerSlam, although I see why WWE did it. I don't agree with the storyline. It makes no sense. C Nation said over the stream, I still don't see why Jimmy's back helping. You think the last time in Saudi Arabia is when the turn happened, and it was one of the biggest pops of the year, Jimmy Uso finally getting in. You think we'd get a Roman versus Jimmy match, and none of that really materialized. So it's just, we're back to square one with that. It's just Jay that's broke away. But that is what it is. It's a different story for a different day. But I mean, looking at this as a match, I mean, I can't give this more than a 2.25, and that's just purely because of the fact I never truly believed that this would go any other way.
Exactly. And then the other problem they've now got is that Roman isn't going to be on TV, or he isn't going to be on a pay-per-view card till the Rumble. And his only real challenger at the minute that he hasn't completely squashed or dominated is probably Bobby Lashley. And it's like, what do you do with Roman? What's going to be the point of him coming back for the Rumble? Who's going to be his next challenger? Wow, I could have done that segment any better if I tried. But yeah, you look at it and you're like, Kevin Owens, we've already had that. We've already had that calamity that was Roman being handcuffed to a girder and Paul Heyman couldn't get the handcuffs off. And it was such a dodgy finish. And it was like, oh, great. And it's like, who else is there on that SmackDown show? It's Bobby Lashley. That's it. And it's like, what are you going to do with Bobby Lashley? What, he's just going to sit there and manage the Street Profits and BFAB now for the next 3 months? I don't know. It's boring.
I'm hoping, ladies and gents, that when it gets to the rating, when we go for the numbers, he can't say boring. But what I hope, though, for you, I hope that it gets more exciting on the road to War Games. I would agree. Look, well, I'm going to answer this question below, but I would just say very quick, I do think this has been the weakest PLE of the year. Obviously, there's been a bit of a downward slopes at SummerSlam. They're in a bit of an off period, but I think Survivor Series is where it turns around.
It had potential to be a good pay-per-view, but they just went safe with the whole card, and that's the problem. Someone said it earlier. I think it was you or one of the comments. Someone said it's just safe booking. All the results were safe booking.
I believe it was
Dan.
It's
like, I don't understand. Like, what's the point of having these shows if we don't get the shock result? Because if I was a paying fan, for example, what's my enticement to come back to the next one when they do another show in my country? Like, oh yeah, I went to Clash. I didn't go to Money in the Bank, but there were 2 great shows, and it was like they were booked really well. And it's like the Saudi shows just seem to be like, honestly, they just book them really poorly. And like we said in the predictions, we expected this to be a really good pay-per-view. Like there was a potential to have some really killer matches, and they just played it safe.
They did. I need to go to that question in a second, but I'm just going to answer quickly this question. What next Roman Reigns? You suggested a couple of names. I think AJ Styles is the next one. That's it. AJ gets through the bloodline, then he's the Royal Rumble match. If there's a breakdown with Solo, that's an Elimination Chamber. Then I think obviously we're probably going to get Cody at WrestleMania. I doubt it's going to be The Rock, but that's what I think. But you've kind of more or less said there, some shock results or something. How would you book it differently? Obviously, that's what Ken asked us earlier on. So how would you book this show differently? You would just do then some shock results, just something, just a bit of spice, something a bit different. Was the return of Kairi not enough? The tease of a John Cena retirement, heel turn. And obviously the championship change with Logan Paul. Was that not enough for this show to make it a good show for you?
I think the dynamic, that everything, there's so many circumstances that just played into this being a bad show. Like Kairi Sane, if this was in the US, that would have been a great moment. It would have got a great pop. It'd have been like, do you know what I mean? One of those ones where it's like WWE puts a YouTube video up, top 10 comebacks of 2023. Kairi Sane would be one of them, but it fell flat. Cody winning over Priest, and it's like we've already discussed, and this depending on when they plan on doing something with Survivor Series. Zayn taking the Money in the Bank briefcase is boring booking. Why does Zayn need to steal the Money in the Bank briefcase unless, again, they're planning on doing Sami versus Priest for the briefcase? Don't know, but we'll soon barely find out. But this could have even the quality of wrestling could have just made this show a lot better. Like, even if the results were predictable, even if we'd had really good wrestling, and it's like you said, Cody versus Priest is the shortest match on the card, and it's just a bang average TV match. And it's like, that's shocking in itself. Like I said at the start, Drew versus Seth was a really sloppy match. For some reason, Drew wanted to do a Cristiano Ronaldo celebration. Why? That's not the point of this match, is to make yourself look like a tit in front of the Saudi Arabian crowd. There's a story, and it just felt like there was no story for most of these matches and just poor wrestling.
I think it's fair. For me, how I would book this show differently to try and what I think would make it book better. Opening match of the night would have been Seth versus Drew. Seth would have retained as expected. Drew would have come after this match. A Claymore would have hit Seth Rollins. Therefore, Seth is truly vulnerable for that cash in. Sami would not have intervened. Damian Priest would have cashed in and would have won the World Heavyweight Championship, because I think it's something fresh and something different, and it's the right time of year to experiment with someone like Damian Priest as World Heavyweight Champion, because ratings are poor usually anyway. If it doesn't work out, you can change it before or at the Rumble. By that as well, you could have then actually turned Damian Priest versus Cody Rhodes into a championship match. You could have had the World Heavyweight title on the line twice in one night, as that match was first and Priest's match was later. For me, I think that would have been an exciting dynamic. Cody could have perhaps won the championship, finished his story. It's not really finishing his story, but you get the point. Priest could have actually looked really strong on this. Judgment Day could have looked really strong going into War Games, having all the gold, now having a world championship for the men's side and the women's side going into War Games. And it would be the case then of the babyfaces trying to stranglehold that power struggle back to on Monday Night Raw to the babyface side and not to the Judgment Day. So that's something I certainly would have done differently. As for other things on the night, I think personally, I do feel that Roman and LA Knight was booked, like I said, the right way. I don't really have a problem with Roman and Solo, but I think that's probably the big change I would have done to have made this show perhaps a bit better.
But here's one for you, just to put a spin on your booking, right? So where you say you'd have Drew turn heel here, don't have him turn heel here. Have the exact same scenario play out where Damian Priest went to cash in before and Drew stopped him. Let Drew just let Priest cash in.
Yeah.
Right. And then we build to War Games at Survivor Series where McIntyre is on the face side again. And then McIntyre does the heel turn at Survivor Series to make an even bigger shock for Survivor Series. And you still have Judgment Day go over. And then you get your heel McIntyre from that point forward. And then you get a Seth Drew story to continue after that. Judgment Day still walk out with all the gold. Do you know what I mean? Like, I would have preferred like that scenario.
There you go, and that's something we would have done differently if we'd have been in charge. And that obviously plays into future storylines as well as current. Quick one then, just before we go into, because I want to go into the comments. There's a lot of comments. We'll go to it very quickly. What is next for LA Knight? Hopefully, momentum is not gone. Obviously, after this, the last we want to see him just to jump down to the second match on the card on a SmackDown after this. We want to see him continue to do good things. I do agree with what the comment said earlier. I think a tag team of AJ Styles against Jimmy and Solo. Excuse me. Obviously, Jimmy did cost LA Knight this match, so obviously he's going to remain in and amongst the Bloodline storyline. Roman's going to be away. LA Knight and AJ Styles, obviously both former TNA guys, by the way. There's your link. Can go and get their business, their retribution in the meantime. Then you can get LA Knight perhaps have a good run in the Royal Rumble. I think that's a good spot to do. Perhaps maybe be a part of the Elimination Chamber match, trying to get into WrestleMania. I would start something with him and Logan Paul at the Royal Rumble and build that as your mega match for the United States Championship, for a prime United States Championship match at WrestleMania. As NXT said earlier on, win the prestige of that championship back for WWE, for the wrestlers and for the company. LA Knight could be that guy, the true megastar he would become by beating the influencer with so many social media followers that is Logan Paul. So that's what I believe, and I genuinely believe that is the direction of what I think WWE will do, not just what they should do with LA Knight going forward. NXT, anything you'd like to add?
No, that sounds like the best plan for me going forward. Like, it still keeps LA Knight get his revenge on Solo and Jimmy with AJ, and then, like you said, get to the Rumble, start the whole Logan Paul LA Knight feud there, let him be a participant in the Elimination Chamber, and then go on to Mania and beat Logan Paul for the United States title.
Who knows? Maybe Logan Paul gets in that chamber and costs LA Knight.
Exactly.
Good
shout.
There we go. Right, last but not least then, before we go to the comments, would like to get your score out of 10 for WWE Crown Jewel 2023. Obviously, can't use the word boring this time.
What did I rate Halloween Havoc?
I don't remember. it's just on the channel the other day.
I think it was like a 3 or a 4. I'm going to say a 4. Like, it's not the worst pay-per-view in the world. It's just lazy booking, predictable, and that other word that I'm not allowed to say no more now. So yeah, I'll say a 4.
You could have said it then. You had the opportunity to say it then.
It's boring.
I'm going to go for a 5. I'm going to go for a 5 for this show. I think that all in all,
it's a bang average pay-per-view.
It's a smack bang in the middle pay-per-view, if we're being honest here. The thing that's good about this, because obviously the wrestling is one thing, but there is some talking points coming out of it. John Cena, what is next? What is John Cena going to do? We don't believe he's retiring anytime soon. We think WrestleMania is going to be a place if he's going to do it. The Kairi Sane return perhaps didn't have the impact in the crowd, but I think amongst the fans and social media, I think it's done more than enough to create a buzz and certainly some exciting twists and turns for a new storyline going forward. Logan Paul for the US Championship certainly makes a lot of sense. The finish of the match, though, was a bit sideways, let's just say. But all in all, the rest of it, yeah, pretty predictable. And unfortunately, well, it's predictable. It's predictable, isn't it? I mean, obviously, I got the Solo and John Cena match wrong on the predictions, but I did think that it was the right booking move to do. So pleased to see WWE did do it.
You and me both said Solo would win. We said I'm sure we both said Solo because I think we'd said if Roman was going to be at Survivor Series, we'd have seen John Cena win, and I think we both said Solo.
I said that. Well, I felt I said because I said that you persuaded me to go one way, but I said I'd still say Cena, even though I said I'd still say Cena. I can't see Cena losing. I went with that caption, I think. Yeah, unfortunately, I should have thought differently. Yeah, there's lots of them in these streams. People are used to them by now. Right, let's go through the last 24 comments then of the stream, and then we will wrap things up. Thank you for everyone that has been getting involved. And if you have enjoyed this podcast, make sure to hit the like button, share with a friend, and subscribe as well, especially if you are new here. And of course, if you are watching on delay, thank you for taking the time to watch us. And thank you for making it all the way to this point. You probably didn't find this show, Nick Steve?
Boring.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm not anyway. I'm really sorry. I did try to be as positive as I could be, but like I said to you earlier, I'm glad that I didn't take a day off work to watch this, and I watched it when I got home from work because I'd have felt like I'd have wasted a day's holiday pay watching this.
There you go. There you go. Well, Robbie still says, yeah, he still believes in LA Knight, that's for sure. And this is what I don't get. Cody Rhodes deserves to finish the story. I could name you 5 wrestlers in WWE who deserve it more. Robbie, do that if you're still with us in the comments. Let us know those 5 names. CD says, so when Cody beats Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes will be the final Universal Champion, right? Technically, depending on how WWE want to do it. Knowing WWE, they'll retire it under Roman Reigns' name. But yes, technically, CD, you would be correct. Ghost Spider says, NXT, you were just...
The WWE Championship. I think after once Roman loses it.
I think so as well. NXT, you were just lucky Vince McMahon didn't book Crown Jewel. If he did, this would have been the most boring show ever. Could you imagine it could have been worse?
I don't think half the card would have been on the show if Vince was booking it. I don't think we'd have got 2 women's matches, so I can probably pretty much guarantee that.
Definitely would have got JD McDonagh, that's for sure as well. I'm glad he got his chance. As I said, this is the start, but how many times are we going to see interference? There was just no need for it every time. The title was never going to go to LA Knight, but at least make it interesting. Yeah, there we go. I think it's a fair comment from Robbie. I think it's fair. It was predictable. Roman Reigns' defense is defending less time than Hulk Hogan's title run. He's defended less, but he probably is going to overtake Hogan at this point. And if he does, he would retain at WrestleMania 40.
I think from now on, every Roman Reigns match needs to be a gimmick match. Like, I think that if you want to keep it fresh, everything's got to be a gimmick match now because I'm bored of seeing the same thing. I want a ladder match. I want a cage match. I want a Hell in a Cell, Rage in a Cage, a Slam in the Van. I want everything.
I particularly want to see the Slam in the Van. That's always my favourite. See, this is interesting thought. What if Damian Priest did cash in on Seth Freakin Rollins at the beginning of the show? Would he have defended against Cody Rhodes later in the show or not? I think that's what they would have done, or I think they should have done. I think it would have. I think it would have been a great story on narrative for that. If we want a show comparison of what I'm kind of talking about, is No Mercy 2007. Anyone that's not watched that show, give it a watch because it's kind of that vibe of twists and turns throughout the evening. And actually, even if the matches still ain't perfect, if you want, I think it's a pretty exciting, fun show. Sick people, or I'm just going to say people, listen, if you don't mind, said Cody Rhodes boring. How boring loud reactions, people. You don't like the moment Cody beat Roman. Remember, forever design reign, get Cody Rhodes. Don't get the last bit, Alyssa. I'm going to say don't get the last bit, but we don't hate Cody Rhodes. We just didn't think he should have beat Damian Priest.
I think he just needs a different storyline.
I'm fine with the storyline. I think that it should have already concluded. I think that WrestleMania 39 was the time. If it's not done at 40, I'm really going to struggle to see how they go from there. It needs to
Hold
be
you 6
sorted.
years, man. 6 years he's going to go undefeated. He's going to beat the Martino's longest one reign defense.
That'd be madness if it does happen. Robbie says, just give me Hell in a Cell or bar them from ringside if it gets anyone involved to use the title, something like that, to just keep them away. There's always a way in, though. There's always a way in, but I do agree. At least the stipulation gives you that feeling. Maybe he'll have to do it on his own.
Why is it that the babyface never has any friends? You're telling me LA Knight doesn't have anyone that would come out and back him up. You're telling me Cody wouldn't have had anyone at Mania that would have come out and backed him up. Drew never had anyone that would have come out in Cardiff and backed him up. It's always the way. This is what another thing that makes it just boring. It's like the heels always have the numbers game. Which I'm sorry, do the baby faces just not like each other? Do you know what I mean?
Cody had Sami and KO get involved, and he still lost. And LA Knight did have John Cena, but Solo did the business earlier in the evening. There was no Cena because of it.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
AJ's still hurt as well. I agree, by the way. It's happened too many times, Roman and KO. Roman is the most dominant champion, but he did need the help of Jimmy Uso to win. Yes, he did.
Just to say, though, but on the interference side, though, none of the people that interfere ever attack Roman. They only attack the help. So they attack Jimmy and Solo. Whereas if Jimmy and Solo get involved, they always attack Roman's opponent. Do you know what I mean?
True. Difference of the babyface to heel there, right there. You summed that perfectly. This show could be one of the WWE shows of the year, but this was not. It could have been. It just didn't. It just didn't click, unfortunately, like it could have done. I also was a bit too long for me as well. If I'm going to add to the moaning point, I like that the shows, but we're going to 3 hours or just under. I like that. When it gets to near 4 hours, it's too much for me. Gunther versus Roman Reigns, title versus title. Ray, you're cooking, my friend. I'd like to see it. Unfortunately, at this moment, I do think Roman will retain, and I don't want to see that. So that's the only thing I'm against with. But as a match concept, that would be one of the few matches I'd say maybe there's a shot of it, especially if it was at a WrestleMania. Would you agree?
The only thing is, like I said, the camera panned away, so no one actually saw it on the broadcast. It was only for the crowd. And I'm sorry, it just gives me flashback to him and Tyson Fury singing at the end of Cardiff. It's just something I don't want to see. It's just not part of the story. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Ken says Crown Jewel could have been worse. AEW signed Ric Flair and he's cleared to wrestle. Rick says he's cleared to take a bump. He's probably going to wrestle. It's an awful signing. It's for many different reasons, which I'm not going to go into on this stream. We'd be here for a long, long time. It's not a good thing at all. That's happened. Ghostbusters says this I book. How I would book the results. Roman Reigns wins, Solo Sikoa wins, Drew wins by heel turn, Raquel would have won, Io would have won, Kairi Sane return, Sami Zayn and Damian Priest wins. Fair play goes Spider, sharing how would have booked the show instead. LA Knight is just getting started. He will be back, Robbie. I hope you're right, my friend. What about an LA Knight versus Bobby Lashley feud? Now, I'm going to give something away here because obviously I promised a video a long time ago. I promise now I'm working on it. It's going to come. Too many things changed and life got in the way. But when I initially did my first WrestleMania 40 match card predictions video, this was a match I'd booked. I don't book it now, but I'd be interested in the feud. I just don't book it now. Instead, I think it's LA Knight, Logan Paul. But still, this is a match I'd be interested in. Would you like to see it, NXT, Steve?
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be something for LA Knight to do on SmackDown now until we get to obviously Mania. I'm also interested by what B-Fab's going to be doing as part of this faction as well, like what they're going by. I suppose Bianca's too much of a big name to be part of like this heel dynamic until she actually turns heel. But yeah, I'm interested to see what Bobby and B-Fab and the Street Profits do.
I'm really interested in what they're going to do with B-Fab in this group. I think it could be a game changer for her.
Yeah.
She's got the personality to really make it work.
Absolutely.
Is AW becoming the retirement home? Yeah, kind of at the minute.
Yeah, I can see why you'd say that.
I can see why I'd say it. Score out of boring. Love that, Robbie. CD says, my results, Roman retains, Cody wins, Bianca Belair wins the title, Logan wins the title, Cena wins, Rhea Ripley retains, Seth retains, and then Zayn wins. There we go. Ken says, boring, rubbish crap. All words mean the same for Crown Jewel. It says, Steve, you're only giving your honest opinion. Fair play. This is boring at the end. Hopefully it doesn't mean it's a boring opinion, but it's saying it's an honest opinion. There you go.
Yeah, like, the thing is as well is we've had so many good pay-per-views this year, and this just really felt really like just really underwhelming, man. Like compared to what we've had all year round.
I agree. I do agree. And I do feel that War Games, and especially that, by the way, a bit of Aussie, the War Pigs song, when I was hearing that, I was just like, yes, I'm ready for War Games, just hearing that song alone. They need that every year now. Robbie says, great stream, lads. Thank you, Robbie. He's very kind of here from the start as well. Thank you, Robbie. Really appreciate it. He says, I give you Kevin Owens, Solo Sikoa, Jey Uso, AJ Styles, and Drew McIntyre, all men who have stayed and put in the work. They haven't jumped ship. You just said, waltz back into WWE and lose to Roman Reigns and then get a title shot again because he's beaten a few guys on the road to it. Doesn't deserve it from me. So that's the 5 people he would have selected instead over Cody Rhodes. CD says Jey Uso came out and gave a super kick to Jimmy Uso, like how Jimmy Uso cost Jey Uso the tag team titles. Would have been interesting to have seen that happen. It would have made logical sense. But yeah, Jey was there and just ignored Jimmy. So I don't know from here. I don't know.
Don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how they're going to get around booking that story for Mania now as well.
Absolutely. CD says, what did Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn attack Roman Reigns at WrestleMania or not? Yeah, they did. They didn't attack Roman. I don't know if they attacked Roman Reigns. No, they did.
I'm pretty sure they
did.
Did they?
Yeah, there was a stunner and haluva kick in there. I'm sure there was. I'm going to need to rewatch this now. The heart needs to break again.
Apparently, Cody's just trashed then.
There you go. There you go. Alyssa's not going to like that.
Alyssa, don't come for me. Alyssa, honestly, I think Cody's great. I'm just saying, man.
If the next comment's Alyssa, I'm going to love it. CD says Bobby and the Street Profits should be the Hurt Profits. I agree, like that. Will we get SmackDown vs Survivor Series or not? Not been determined yet. We'll find out on WBTV going forward.
We'll get a team Aldis versus Team Pierce, a 5-on-5 traditional match. I imagine.
I hope so. I don't hold hope for it, but I hope so. Zayn liked Tyson Fury and Drew McIntyre seeing it crash to the castle. I still watch it.
I'm glad I left before it started.
I mean, I worked with karaoke for many, many years. I've heard much worse, to be honest. So, but Tyson Fury has some voice in him, to be fair. Don't mind him singing a bit. There you go, Robbie. Gotta love it. To be fair, it's American Pie that I hate. It's not necessarily them singing it. It's just I don't like that song. It's the song that's the problem. That and Sweet Caroline. Don't get me started on Sweet Caroline. Cena just says Jey Uso helped Cody Rhodes earlier in the night, but Solo Sikoa also had a match earlier in the night, and he came out during Roman's match, which is a fair point indeed. That's where we're going to wrap up, ladies and gents. Thank you all for watching. Thank you to everyone that's been getting involved in the comment section, keeping us busy for an hour and 50 minutes. You're all too kind indeed, spending your time with us talking Crown Jewel, especially more than 24 hours after the show finished. If you've enjoyed the video, make sure to hit the like button. It really does help the channel. I can't stress enough. Hitting the like button helps this channel grow. And obviously, the more this channel grows, the more content you're going to get. That's pretty much how it works. If you want more content on the regular, the likes really do help. And comments after the streams finish as well does help massively as well. If you're new here and you haven't seen these videos before, subscribe to the channel. There's stuff on WWE, AEW, Impact, and much, much more. And, well, quite a lot of the time, you get to see this man to the side of me. Big thank you to NX Steve, who may have found this show boring, but I can promise he does not find a lot of the shows boring, and we have a great time each and every time discussing it, good or bad. We'll have a bad one with Halloween Havoc 1998, which you can go and check out right now, and plus we've got many more on the way.
Yeah, hopefully so. Like I said, thanks for having me on as usual. I'm sorry I was such a boring son of a gun today, but yeah, it's like I'm not normally like this, honestly. Like normally I'm really cheerful, and I can normally find quite a lot of positives about it, but not today, unfortunately. Today was my one day. You got to let me have one.
You got to have one indeed there. And as Roger says, great show. It was not boring. So there we go. It was not boring there. And a great stream as well from Ghost Spider as well there. Just quickly, we've got a comment here. At least we won't get Adam Pearce's Raw versus Adam Pearce's SmackDown. That would be pretty awful. Not going to lie. But
loyalties lie, Adam Pearce.
Exactly. Who do you really follow? Who do you really want to be rooting for? But any final words, NXT, before we wrap up the stream? I've got a way that I think our followers might want to stick around to the end for.
Now let me talk to you. Crown Jewel, not the greatest pay-per-view on the card, but I promise 2 weeks. Give me 2 weeks. Come back for Survivor Series, and I promise you it will not be boring.
It's going to be War Games indeed there. But thank you all for watching. Look after yourselves and each other. Big thank you for Eric, and as well to Robbie here, who just says Sweet Caroline.
Caroline.
Good
Da,
times.
da,
Dun,
da.
dun. Just for you guys. And the last word as well should give us a duet. Pretty much as close as you're going to get to a duet from us on this one. And last word from NXT. NXT, give it to them.
Boring.
See ya.